CEO Qian is a legendary high roller in Yanzhong, known for his god-tier wealth, main character looks, and spending money like it's going out of style. Then there's CEO Yan, the notorious billionaire in Mo who flaunts insane assets and a harem of top-tier beauties by his side. Xiao Lin is a reckless rich kid drowning in over 200 billion in debt, but he's making a massive comeback thanks to a survival system that counts his life in seconds. And let's not forget Zhang Cheng, a wealthy heir who unlocked an infinite spending system and became a world-renowned sugar daddy. Today, Mon is introducing you guys to a rising high roller who just snagged a system that lets him go all in, controlled by our host, Shang Wang. The blonde guy is standing in front of his toxic boss, humbly begging for 2 days off because of a family emergency. He even promises that once he's back, he'll catch up on the workload so the team doesn't suffer. The boss gives him the classic condescending look, crossing his legs and asking why he's taking time off, while casually vetoing the request. Unless it's a funeral or a wedding for an immediate family member, no exceptions. Nobody is allowed to take leave because, apparently, the short film department is super understaffed right now. While he talks, his hands are glued to his phone, scrolling through thirst traps of influencers showing off their snatched waists and curves, all to farm rewards from other thirsty high rollers. He doesn't even hesitate to drop a massive super rocket gift on one girl, making her gasp and beam with joy. "Thanks for the #1 spot," she coos, blowing him a kiss through the screen. Our boy is still standing there, begging and pleading, explaining that his mom is seriously ill and needs someone to look after her. He's just hoping for a little empathy from the boss. The boss, sucking on a lollipop, hits him with a cold-blooded question.
Isn't your dad still healthy?
Just let him take care of it. And if he's too busy, surely there's some relative or distant cousin who can help out for a couple of days. Plus, if it's a terminal illness, taking a few days off isn't going to change anything anyway. The boss's words make his blood boil, but since their social standings are light years apart, he's forced to choke back his anger. His hands clench into tight, trembling fists. The boss arrogantly scoffs, claiming that if you want to sit in the high-tier seats, you have to be willing to pay the price. My old man is 70 years old and still working overtime back home. That's exactly why we're where we are today. You're young. What are you even complaining about? If everyone used the sick mom or family emergency card to take time off, who would even be left to work in this company? And then the trashy boss just keeps going. This industry relies on speed and timing. If your absence causes someone else to snatch that video upload, who's going to take the heat for that? How can you put your personal drama ahead of the whole company's success? The kid promises that even if he's home, he won't let the work slide. He'll be available the second the boss hits him up. The boss narrows his eyes and snorts, saying if he wants to be that comfortable, he should just head to accounting and quit right now. Then you can stay with your parents as long as you want, being their little baby forever. With that, he stands up in a fake rage, drops his phone, and gives him a serious condescending lecture. You're just a college grad who just hit the market. Landing a job at a big conglomerate like Tang Corp is a huge stroke of luck. I basically did you a favor by hiring you. Don't be ungrateful. Everyone here is at least a bachelor's degree holder, not to mention people like me who are fluent in English. And yet you're too dense to appreciate this chance, acting lazy and trying to play hooky. He pats his shoulder, dropping the ultimatum. Hot seats don't wait for anyone, and this job is no different. Think carefully. Do you really still want to request that leave? Stepping out of that suffocating office, he lights a cigarette, takes a deep drag, and heads back to his desk. His phone rings, and the person on the other end asks if he's free. In the background, he can hear a nurse rushing his dad to pay the hospital bills immediately. She says she's already bent the rules enough for their family, and if they don't pay up, she's going to be in a tough spot. Pulling the phone away from his ear, he promises the nurse that he'll have the money in 2 days, no matter what. The nurse isn't having it, snapping back that he said the exact same thing 2 days ago, and if he doesn't deliver, the patient is getting discharged. He hangs his head, his face etched with pure desperation as he replies to her. Hearing every word of that conversation, our boy stands there, sweat beading on his forehead. Then his dad asks him what he was saying just now. He couldn't quite hear him. Could he repeat it? Shang Wang lies, saying he'll be home in 2 days, and that he'll chip in for his mom's medical bills. With a heavy sigh, his dad tells him not to worry, claiming he's already borrowed some cash from friends and family, and since mom has insurance, it won't cost much anyway. Knowing the old man was lying, he told his dad to stop obsessing over borrowing money from relatives. He decided he would handle this mess himself. The old man sadly warned him that a fresh graduate living in the city like him shouldn't be playing hero with money he doesn't have. Don't go doing anything reckless like taking out high-interest loans. That would be a disaster. If you really can't come home, it's fine, just don't overwork yourself. Through the phone, his father's firm voice echoed. I really have the money, Dad, just wait for me. After hanging up, Xinguang immediately opened his bank app to check his balance. Over the last year, he'd been slaving away at Tang Corp for a measly 5,000 yuan a month. Between his side gig editing videos and living like a monk, he'd been saving every penny. Sharing a bunk bed and ordering the cheapest takeout possible, he had managed to scrap together about 50,000 yuan. With a gloomy face, he figured this amount would only cover his mom's medical bills for a hot minute. Stepping out of his office, he realized that in 20 years, he hadn't achieved anything significant. Today, it was time to break the cycle. Job opportunities come and go, but you only get one chance to pay back your parents. With that, he decided to quit. He was done with HR for good. Why even bother slaving away for such a heartless corporation? He marched straight to the HR office to find Ms. Li. After 20 minutes of chatting with his supervisor, Han Xuan walked out of the office with a bitter smile and a heavy sigh. Finally, I'm free from this soulless capitalist hellscape. To just walk out of a job like this in my current situation, I guess I've got some serious guts after all. Suddenly, a system prompt popped up in his face, something called the Ultimate Freedom System. The system announced it had detected the host, making a decision that went against all common sense. For resigning on a whim, the host activated the Freedom System and received a newbie gift of 88,888 yuan. He stared in shock, wondering what kind of prank this was. Xing Wang didn't buy it, assuming someone in the office was playing a sound prank on his phone speaker. But the voice boomed again, demanding the host check his balance and fully embrace his newfound freedom. The more free he acts, the richer he becomes. He was so stunned, he started stammering. What kind of interface is this? Still holding his phone, he checked his bank balance and realized the money was actually there, just like the system said. His eyes popped out. What kind of scam is this? Seeing him frozen in disbelief, the system lost its patience. Host, stop doubting already. You've awakened the system. Now just do whatever you want and spend that cash. With sudden fortune hitting his face, Xing Wang wouldn't have believed it if he weren't experiencing it himself. He kept staring at his balance, wondering if he was really in a dream or if he'd actually awakened a cheat system. He muttered the name of the system, realizing that quitting his job on a whim was the trigger. A grin slowly spread across his face. He started to get the hang of this. He needed to find more ways to splurge and make money. Just then, a girl approached him and asked what he was up to. Da Win, a famous influencer with 8 million followers, stood there asking if her livestream plans were ready yet. Seeing her assets bouncing right in front of him, his nose started bleeding, and his blood pressure hit the roof. Before he could answer, she kept pushing him, asking how far along he was. Xing Wang's face turned bright red, his brain struggling to process what she just said. Was I too distracted to hear her properly? He had to ask her, what did you say just now? Flicking his nose, she teased him for looking so spacey and dazed. Are you getting heat stroke or something, silly? He gave a forced smile, saying she always loved messing with him. She leaned in, striking a seductive pose right in front of our boy, demanding that Xiao Hang prioritize her resources. Lately, the big spenders on the leaderboard have been getting lazy, and the donation flow has taken a serious hit. This Cao Wen is one of the talents under his management for the live streaming division. She's famous for being the hottest dancer on the net, and IRL she's super friendly, with zero diva energy. Her biggest flaw, which is also her biggest charm, is that she's a total prankster. Xing Wang told her that from now on, the company would be assigning someone else to handle her segments. She looked totally shocked and asked why he was making such a sudden move. He couldn't be bothered to explain, just silently packing his stuff, figuring Cao Wen wasn't the type to act all high and mighty with him anyway. The only reason she's so wild around him is that he's the one who knows her online persona better than anyone else here. Since they'd be going their separate ways with no contact, there was no need to spill his life story to her. He smiled inwardly, feeling like he'd finally awakened to the true nature of this world. She slumped, looking defeated, double-checking if he was really quitting and why he didn't want to keep working with her. But he stood firm, telling her the paperwork was already done. His heart skipped a beat as he felt some kind of invisible power radiating from her eyes. If she leaned in any closer, would he be able to stop himself from trolling her? She looked miserable, blaming him and asking if he was really going to abandon her just like that. Deep down, she felt like his behavior today was totally sus. On any other day, if she acted this clingy, he would already been grinning and holding her hand. The way he just decided to quit out of nowhere was way too abrupt. Could something be wrong with him? His eyes sharpened as he reminded himself that while this girl was sweet-talking him, his gut told him he was being played, so he had to stay frosty. He gave a half-baked excuse about just wanting to take a long-term vacation. Sliding right into his personal space, she pressed him for answers. Have you even thought about which company you're heading to next? Is there a chance we'll end up as rivals later on? My work is going to be handed over to some newbie. She had no idea how long it would take for her to get used to someone new. Xing Wang was struggling from the sheer intensity of her presence, feeling a nosebleed coming on, thinking he couldn't take it much longer. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he reminded himself that once the wealth system was fully activated with those millions, he could have any goddess he wanted. He stared at her intently, noticing something off about her facial features. Out of nowhere, he dropped the bomb, advising Cao Wen to go get a nose job. It's a bit crooked. She blushed hard, covering her nose with her hand and asking, "Wait, for real? Is it actually crooked?" She immediately whipped out her compact mirror to check her reflection. Muttering to herself, "How could this be? Is my nose really crooked?" She grimaced, realizing the stream was about to start and she needed to fix it ASAP. At that moment, the system chimed in, praising him for being a legend by refusing to be a simp for a gorgeous woman. That was a display of genuine self-respect, earning him a reward of 2333 yuan. Xing Wang habitually checked his balance. The cash had actually hit his account. A smirk spread across his face, flashing a killer smile as he marveled that this was the real power of the system, being able to just act on his own terms. This is the law of the system. Cao Wen leaned in and gave him a playful wink, thanking him for the heads-up. If he'd already made up his mind to leave, she wouldn't hold him back, saying maybe they'd have a chance to collab again in the future. With that, she wished him a bright future ahead. Seeing her act so cool about it, he started questioning reality. She should be fuming that he dissed her looks, so why is she so chill? It's fake. It's definitely a scam. Not only that, but she proactively offered to treat him to a meal tonight since they'd been working together for so long. She told him to let her know if he ran into any trouble with his career. After all, she knew a few big bosses in the industry. She even couldn't help but compliment his skills, saying a pro like him would never have to worry about going hungry. He thought to himself, she probably thinks I'm a low-key academic failure and is worried I can't even land a decent job on my own. If she's saying that, it means her previous concern wasn't just some polite habit. This girl is actually top tier. Touched, he puffed out his chest and insisted on covering the meal, saying there's no way he'd let a beauty like her pay the bill. She told him he doesn't make much money, so he'd better save up a little. Back to his backpack and the grueling grind, he told everyone he was heading out. Maybe they could collab later, but regardless, he thanked her for the offer to help today. She smiled brightly, but as he prepared to leave, she realized she didn't really know him yet. Xing Wang flashed a grin and said he was all packed up and heading out. Told her to give him a shout once she's wrapped up with her work. Leaving the office with his backpack, he held his phone in his hand. He thought back to how he used to walk everywhere just to avoid paying for the bus, the subway, or begging for a ride. Because when he pulled overtime, public transport was always dead by the time he left. Taking a taxi was a total luxury he could never afford. But now that our boy is loaded, he wanted to flex and book the swankiest ride he could find. Without a second thought, he smashed that order button, and a brand new car pulled up in front of him instantly. The driver hopped out, greeted him with a smile, and invited the boss to hop in. His heart was racing with excitement. No wonder they call it premium service. The car arrived in 3 minutes flat. From the exterior to the engine, just looking at this whip was enough to get his blood pumping. He remembered how pathetic he used to be, curled up in a dark corner, stressing about finding a carpool just to get home. Sometimes he wouldn't make it back until past midnight, but tonight he had a genuinely satisfied smirk on his face. He figured this was his glow-up. From now on, yours truly is never living in those dark, broke days again. The driver opened the back door, signaled for our protagonist to enter, and addressed him as boss. Ding! The system notified him. Host is flexing so hard he's booking taxis without checking the price, rewarded with 50,000 RMB. Once inside, he heard the driver confirming if he wanted to go to the Baohong Street intersection. He replied that was correct. Just stop in front of the scallion pancake stall. The driver floored it, threw a "You got it, boss," and they zipped away. Sitting in the back, soaking in that premium comfort, he sighed, realizing that paying for luxury really does hit different. Very quickly, the car rolled to a stop right in front of the old lady's pancake stall. She recognized him in the crowd and asked, "Is it you again? Want the egg wrap or just the shell this time?" He held up 2 fingers and said he wanted 2 eggs and 2 premium sausages. None of that cheap flour-filled filler, thanks. Deep down, he thought about how he used to make 5,000 RMB a month, with 800 going to rent, so he never dared spend more than 20 on food. Since a basic pancake was already 8 RMB, he never had the guts to ask for extra toppings. Today, he's going full-on gourmet, splurging 15 RMB just to see how it feels. Our protagonist praised himself, thinking he's really leveling up in life. Spending a whole 15 RMB on one meal, he's honestly jealous of his own financial power. The people around him were whispering, amazed at how he's throwing money around like that. Double eggs and premium sausages. In reality, they all thought the flour-filled sausages tasted better, wondering when they'd ever get to flex like him. Instantly, the system chimed in. Host is eating a full topping meal, leaving the broke life behind for a total glow-up, rewarded with 20,000 RMB. Eating while feeling like a king, he realized this must be what true comfort feels like after a high-tier feast. He decided next time, he's going for 5 eggs just for the heck of it. As he chewed, Xing Wang reminisced about his student days when he had 0 pocket money. By the time he hit the workforce, he didn't just lack money. He didn't even have any free time. What does a normal person even do for fun these days? While pondering, he finished his pancake and tossed the trash into the bin with professional accuracy, never even looking back. Xing Wang strolled down the street, and as luck would have it, he ended up right in front of a shopping mall. He stopped, slapped his head, and told himself, "Old me is dead. Now that I'm rich, it's time to shop until I drop." He remembered he had to take Gaowen out to a high-end dinner tonight, so he should probably clean up his image and get some new threads. He took a look at himself and decided his current fit was definitely not looking CEO level enough. Thinking is doing. He marched into the mall, determined to buy everything his heart desired. It's our boy's first time at a massive high-end mall, and he's scanning the place like a tourist, surrounded by fancy luxury brands he can't even pronounce. Xiang Wang is wandering around like a lost puppy, having no clue where to start his shopping spree. Suddenly, his jaw hits the floor. He realizes this elite mall doesn't even carry his usual budget brand Adavans. A smirk curls onto his face as he stops being a broke peasant. Hey, if the drip isn't available, just force an upgrade, right? He strolls up to the Louis Vuitton store, but instead of the usual service, the staff size up his poverty core outfit and start gatekeeping. "You handle him, I'm too busy." She scans him from head to toe, judging his basic haircut, his crusty backpack, and his ancient smartphone that isn't worth more than 500 yuan. His clothes scream clearance bin, and his shoes look like they've survived a war zone. They've basically branded him as a poverty-certified loser, worth less than 100,000 yuan combined. After a lukewarm greeting, the staff completely ignores him, leaving Xiang Wang feeling confused and disrespected. He finally speaks up, "Yo, am I invisible here, or are you guys not planning to help me?" He's annoyed, thinking to himself that he might look a bit broke, but there's no reason for these NPCs to be this stuck-up. Xiang Wang loudly flexes, acting like a busy CEO with no time to waste, and demands to see items worth at least 150,000 yuan. If nobody here wants his money, he's not wasting another second in this flop shop. Time to take his business to the Hermes store next door. Hearing that fat budget, the staff's attitude does a 180, and they start fighting over who gets to serve the high roller. They even pull up a chair and offer to bring the entire store's inventory for him to review. Xiang Wang crosses his arms, looking smug. He's realizing that money truly is the ultimate cheat code to make everyone dance to his tune. A few minutes later, our boy gets a complete makeover. His glow-up is so real that just his silhouette looks like a top-tier billionaire. The sales assistant follows him around, clinging to him and begging him to come back for more shopping next time. She keeps tailing him, and Xiang Wang is low-key loving this main character treatment. Shopping is so much better when you don't have to carry your own bags. The assistant keeps up the hype, recommending an exclusive jewelry showcase happening this month. Xiang Wang plays the part perfectly, acting like a cold, busy boss. "If I have time, I'll let you know." She offers to have his haul delivered straight to his penthouse, trying to score extra points with him. He snatches the bags back with a smirk. "No thanks, I prefer to carry my own success." Seeing he's not interested, she gives him a 90-degree bow and sends him off with a professional goodbye. He walks away like he owns the place. A few steps later, the gossip from two girls nearby catches his attention. "Girl, you should check out the Hermes store at the plaza. That's where the real wealthy people shop. Everything they buy is top-tier luxury." But her friend sighs, saying that stuff is way too expensive. Only the elite queens can afford it, definitely not for people like them. Though, if they're just buying gifts for someone else, maybe it's a different story. He subconsciously looks at his new fit and the high-end bags in his hands, realizing that being a baller is seriously expensive. Ding. The system notifies him that he just burned through 3 years of salary in one go, completing his first big spender quest. Showy, but definitely a vibe. The system rewards him with 660,000 yuan. Xiang Wang chuckles. The more he spends, the faster his wealth grows. He slicks back his hair like a true gigachad. Time to level up his spending game even more. At the Fragrant West restaurant, the place is glowing with warm, expensive lighting. Everyone walking in looks like a fashion icon or a runaway model. Our boy is no exception. He's ditched his sloppy look for good. He's now a flawless, 10/10 visual, radiating an aura of absolute perfection from his hair to his outfit. He struts inside, and a waitress greets him with a smile, offering to lead him to his reservation. Out of habit, Xiang Wang scratches his nose, realizing he might be a little too early for the party. The staff member politely introduces the VIP lounge privileges, where he can chill and grab some snacks while waiting for the others. No questions asked, he follows her to the private room, realizing that people really do judge the book by its cover. If he were still rocking his old crusty look, he would have been kicked to the curb. A moment later, they arrive at the private booth. The staff sets him up with a private lounge area, gourmet snacks, and tea, telling him to just ring the bell if he needs anything. She bows out professionally, making sure not to disturb his resting time. Left alone, he walks to the massive floor-to-ceiling window to gaze out at the dazzling city lights. The neon skyline reflects in his eyes, giving him a surreal rush of emotions. It's his first time looking down at the Tang City Pearl from the 40th floor. This is the kind of lifestyle our boy couldn't even dream of in his wildest fantasies back in the day. Subconsciously, he remembered being swarmed by all those girls at the store this morning and realized the true power of having stacks of cash. With enough money, he can get top-tier service anywhere he goes. With enough money, he can reach heights that regular NPCs could never even imagine. Those intrusive thoughts that have been haunting him for so long are finally becoming his reality. Just remembered his parents back home need some funds, so he pulled out his phone and wired them a cool 100K. After hitting send, he started scratching his chin, stressing over how to explain this sudden wealth without giving the folks a heart attack. Might as well blame it on some high-paying side hustle so they don't freak out. Meanwhile, Cao Wen just wrapped up her insane high-energy dance routine. Drenched in sweat, she started begging the chat to show some love by spamming rockets. Striking a pose to show off her curves, she tempted the big spenders to drop rockets and prove their massive financial power. She's definitely feeling the withdrawal of their attention. On the live stream, she blushed and acted all fragile, triggering the viewers' protective instincts. The comments were flooding in, with hundreds of likes and hearts hitting the screen. Xingwang sat there, crossing his legs, finally realizing why she hadn't shown up, despite sending him her location earlier. Without missing a beat, he generously sent a rocket, making the beauty light up and thank him with a sweet smile. People in the chat were salty, claiming the big sister didn't give her all today, which is why she only got one rocket. Another viewer chimed in, saying back in the day, they used to rain rockets until Cao Wen's legs were literally shaking from dancing. Remembering her plans for the evening, she didn't string the audience along and immediately waved goodbye. She looked a bit tired, but she still threw in a playful wink that was honestly pretty cute. Back in the lounge, Cao Wen kicked off her heels to let her tired feet breathe and flopped onto the chair. Who said she wasn't giving it her all? She's absolutely exhausted. Suddenly, a coworker behind her asked with feigned concern, "Grab dinner yet?" She replied that she already had plans. The long-haired girl gave a shady, sarcastic smirk. "Oh, which big spender is it this time?" Cao Wen gave her an icy glare and warned, "Don't talk nonsense. You guys know him. It's Xingwang." Hearing that, Jan Qingqing sighed. "So you're still hung up on him, going on dates and stuff?"
Looks like what you said before wasn't a lie, huh?
With a face full of gossip, Chu Xinuo poked her head in. "What's going on?" Clearly annoyed, Cao Wen explained. "He helped me out a lot with work before. This is just a normal business dinner. Plus, he was the one who insisted on inviting me." Zhang Qingqing played it coy and invited herself along, which Cao Wen agreed to, but insisted they keep the meal casual. "If the bill gets too high, we'll just split it as a group hangout. Cool?" Zhang Qingqing is naturally outgoing, so this little bit of money was nothing to her. Plus, she'd had a long day and wanted to treat herself. She then looked at Xinnuo and asked if she wanted to tag along. On the surface, she enthusiastically accepted, acting like she didn't want to take advantage of anyone. But internally, she was thinking, a broke loser like Xingwang probably can't even afford extra eggs on his street food, so what kind of fancy restaurant could he possibly take Cao Wen to? Cao Wen grabbed her towel, suggested she go touch up her makeup, and said she'd meet them at the parking lot. In the parking lot, Cao Wen clicked her key fob, and a brand new Audi lit up. She told them not to worry about traffic and to just hop in her car so they could get there fast. Staring at her shiny luxury ride, Zhang Qingqing couldn't hide her envy. She's an influencer who does product promos, but business has been drying up lately, so she's not sure when she'll be able to afford a car like Cao Wen's. Catching on to her thoughts, Cao Wen suggested she try doing dance videos too. She rolled her eyes. No way, claiming she'd rather just find a sugar daddy to bankroll her than work that hard, standing in heels all day like Cao Wen. With her arms crossed, Chu Jinnuo gave a disdainful look, telling Qingqing to stop daydreaming. "Our boss doesn't force us to entertain clients, which is already a blessing. Don't go expecting to be a kept woman." She pouted, complaining that she should at least be allowed to dream a little. Xinnuo didn't bother arguing, letting her dream away while keeping her real thoughts to herself. She definitely didn't believe Cao Wen bought that luxury car just from her little dance moves. She was convinced that Cao Wen only got her status by hopping into bed with a bunch of sugar daddies. If she was only relying on those assets of hers, there's no way she could have secured the top spot in the company. Anyway, keep those nasty thoughts in your head while maintaining that fake, unlikable attitude. "So, where are we having dinner tonight?" Gao Wen checked the location sent by that guy and just froze in place. Chu Nuan saw her expression and scoffed, thinking to herself, is this place so trashy that it shocked her? Assuming she must have misread the address, Gao Wen pulled out her phone to call Jan Qingqing. Confirming the destination was indeed Ling Wei. She was super surprised and started theorizing, could there really be two restaurants with the same name? Gao Wen muttered to herself, still looking completely confused. That place belongs to the Qing Tian building, a world-famous 3-star Michelin restaurant. In a place that bougie, the average person is spending at least 3,000 yuan a head. Not to mention getting a reservation there is basically impossible. John Ching started getting suspicious. If this isn't a mistake, maybe our guy actually hit the jackpot, and that's why he quit his job? Chunwan guessed it was probably just in the same building as Qing Tian and nothing more. There are people who intentionally send coordinates nearby just to flex and mislead others. Gowen thought it was too early to jump to conclusions about him like that. He isn't the type to be all about that vanity life. Chunwan knew she was always shielding him, so she went along with it, eyes cold, thinking to herself, wait until you get humiliated and see how you act then. By now, the three girls hopped into the car and headed out, no time to waste. As soon as the engine roared to life, the sound was so satisfying that John Ching couldn't help but gush. Man, Audi really is built different. The suspension and stability are top tier. Comparing it to her own junker, she felt like her ride didn't even come close. Chunwan suddenly asked, since there are so many loaded sugar daddies in your live streams, you're a pretty blogger, can't you just grind for those resources too? Saying this, she purposely pulled down her collar to demonstrate, basically showing how to let those rich heirs feast their eyes and get a little touchy-feely to secure the resources she wants. Leaning in close to John Ching, she continued, whether you're a beauty blogger or a dancer, just pull it down a little and you're golden. Then, the heavy hitters' gifts will come raining down. If you do that, why worry about not getting sponsors? John Ching pushed back, saying it's not that simple since her stream has plenty of female fans, and then Chunwan finally settled down to properly explain her twisted logic. If you can make bank legit, why would anyone feel the need to show off their body? On the flip side, if a real high roller genuinely wanted to marry her, she'd be more than happy to be a full-time housewife. Saying this, her eyes narrowed as she grilled Gao Wen. Why the silent treatment? Are you looking down on me? Facing the girl's clear attempt to start drama, she calmly stated her own point of view. Women need to be financially independent, otherwise you'll be labeled a gold digger for life. Your voice won't hold any weight in the household either. If you're just with someone for the money, you'll always just be a side character. Chunwan felt annoyed, like, don't you have these same thoughts? She asked, but internally she was roasting her, acting all high and mighty just because you dance on a live stream. Who are you trying to impress? Staring straight ahead with a blank expression, Gao Wen insisted she never had thoughts like that. She just wants to do her job well, earn whatever she can, enough for food and rent, and anything extra is a bonus. She concluded that men can betray you, but money never will. After chatting for a while, they arrived at the restaurant parking lot. Gao Wen stepped out, ready to head inside, but John Ching called out, asking for one more confirmation. Even if this month's paycheck isn't huge, she's willing to treat everyone. But if that restaurant is pranking us, we are definitely not footing the bill. Chunwan chimed in, wanting Gao Wen to double-check, because being kicked out for not having a reservation would be beyond embarrassing. Not to mention, if someone recognizes them and posts a video online, they'd lose a ton of followers. That made sense, so Gao Wen pulled out her phone to try and reach him again, but there was still no answer. Chunwan smirked, thinking, you got too close to a guy who loves to flex, so he's probably ghosting you to avoid getting caught, right? On the contrary, Gao Wen had a lot of faith in him, assuming he was probably just busy. Chunwan then suggested that since that's the case, they should head upstairs first. He wouldn't intentionally ghost them just to scam them. Deep down, she couldn't wait to see the look on this goddess wannabe's face once they got kicked out. Cao Wen didn't object, though she was sweating. A meal at Lingwei is insane, and while she could technically afford it, Hong Vuong is usually a total penny pincher. Thinking about it, she couldn't help but wonder, was he just trolling? Cao Wen was crying internally. If this was a bust, she'd have to blow her own savings to cover the bill. Once they reached the third floor, she stayed lurking by the entrance, too scared to step in. Cao Wen kept calling Hong Vuong, but our boy was ghosting her. Suddenly, a server's voice rang out from behind, making her jump out of her skin, with her eyes wide open. Before Cao Wen could fumble for an excuse when asked about the reservation, Chu Xinluo jumped in and said they already had one. Cao Wen had no choice but to back her up, saying her friend Hong Vuong had handled the booking. Chu Xinluo gave a snooty look, already doing the math in her head. The operations role at the Liang Company only pays 5,000 a month. This single meal is going to cost Hong Vuong 3 months of his salary. I can't wait to see how Cao Wen tries to save face once he gets exposed. To her surprise, the staff politely gestured for them to follow her. Mr. Hang has been waiting for you ladies for a while now. Chu Xinluo felt like she'd been slapped with a bucket of ice water. Are they actually in the right place? The three of them hurried after the server. Watching Cao Wen's back, Chu Xinluo felt petty and annoyed. At the office, she always had to play second fiddle to her, and now even Hong Vuong was going all out for her. I can't believe Cao Wen is into a total poser like him. At the elevator, the staff politely ushered all three inside and hit the button for the 40th floor. Chiam Tauntauns still couldn't smile, just stressing out about whether they had the right name. If they walked into the wrong room, she'd have nowhere to hide her face. If she remembered correctly, this elevator was for VIPs only, where a meal cost at least 10,000. Even though she'd already grilled her, Cao Wen double-checked. It really cost 10,000? Xu Jinnuo sneered internally, definitely a case of mistaken identity. That kind of money is 3 months of Hong Hongvuong's life. He's usually such a cheapskate, no way he's treating them to a feast like this. Even if it is him, there are 3 mouths to feed here. Let's see how much he embarrasses himself. Smirking, she figured the main character was just getting lucky. Booking on a day when there's another client with the same name. He's just buying himself a few minutes of clout. Keep fronting, and you're bound to get exposed, bro. The elevator dinged at the 40th floor, and the server enthusiastically opened the door to their private suite. Cao Wen was visibly anxious since Hong Hongvuong was nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, the carefree Chiam Tan Tan pulled out her iPhone to snap some selfies while she still could. Might as well drag Chu Xinuo into a few for the gram, right? There's a rule that you can only take photos inside the private room. No photos allowed in the main lobby, so she was going to get her content first and worry about the food later. She was already planning to post these to flex on her friends, even if they wouldn't believe she was actually dining here. Chu Xinuo grabbed a comfy seat, crossed her legs, and coldly told her to entertain herself. She scoffed, hosting a dinner and not even showing up? Just like I thought, he's a total fraud. Chiam Tan Tan's eyes were sparkling, still riding the high of the moment. She'd never eaten at a place this bougie in her entire life. Who knows when she'd ever get the chance to come back. Chu Jinwo threw some helpful shade. Did you text Hong Hongvuong yet? Don't want to cause a scene by showing up to the wrong table. That would be mega cringe. Just then, the staff started knocking on the lounge door to wake Hong Hongvuong up. Cao Wen looked confused, still convinced there was a mistake. How could a regular guy like him afford to spend cash here? Right then, the lounge door swung open, and a pair of expensive sneakers stepped out. Before the guy even appeared, that familiar voice already filled the room. My bad for spacing out and falling asleep. Scratching his head, our boy awkwardly asks if she's been waiting long, feeling totally bad about it. To make up for his little nap, he immediately flags down the waiter to start dropping plates. With his major glow-up, Hong Hongvuong looks like a completely different person, leaving Cao Van standing there totally stunned and lost for words. Chiam Tan Tan gives him the side-eye, wondering if this is actually the same Hong Hongvuong they used to work with. I mean, the designer fit he's rocking is literally worth 40,000 yuan. The same stuff Lu Ge usually flexes. Hu Tamnak squinted in suspicion, noticing he's wearing the latest limited edition LV drip. Is this dude actually a secret rich heir, slumming it just to gain some life experience? Her eyes instinctively dart to the couple laughing and vibing, and her inner snake starts stirring with pure envy. Cao Van really stays winning. Talk about a blind cat finding a dead mouse. She actually snagged a rich second gen, and he's been hiding his status the whole time. Meanwhile, Cao Van tells him they literally just got here, so it's all good. He turns his charm up, greeting Chiam Than Than because she looks familiar. But when he glances at the other girl, his brain totally buffers. Hearing him hesitantly ask who she is, she immediately stands tall, puffs out her chest, and introduces herself without missing a beat. Hongvuong bows his head, apologizing for being a bit groggy since he just woke up and didn't clock her right away. Ku Tamnak plays it cool and sweet, telling him it's absolutely fine. She claims it's totally normal he didn't recognize her since her makeup was super low-key today. Cao Van then explains why she brought 2 co-workers along and offers to chip in for the bill. But before she can finish her sentence, a squad of waiters pulls up with an army of gourmet dishes, and she just freezes. We're talking premium Wagyu steaks and top-tier red wine. She's internally screaming, what on earth is he doing? Is all this showing off for clout really necessary? Chiam Tan Tan stares at the feast, whispering into Cao Van's ear. Did Hongvuong quit his job because he's finally going home to inherit the family fortune? Cao Van keeps it 100, telling her she's as clueless as she is. Hongvuong stares at the fancy French spread, thinking, are people actually supposed to get full off of these microscopic portions? It looks pretty, but it's basically flavorless air. Chiam Tan Tan pulls out her phone, asking if he minds if she snaps a few pics for the gram, and our boy just tells him to go wild. With the host green light, Chiam Tan Tan starts grinding, capturing every angle of the food for maximum clout. Hu Tamnak still isn't buying it, leaning over to grill Cao Van, asking if she's hiding some massive secret. Cao Van is just as stressed, honestly confused, and having no idea what's going on. She starts trying to clear her name. She tells her they weren't even that close, just strictly professional coworkers. He helped her out with operations, so she's just showing some basic appreciation. Cao Van suddenly remembers how cheap he used to be, always taking cabs with carpoolers and counting every penny on his lunch. Could he really be a low-key rich kid playing 4D chess? Not wanting a girl to pay for the meal, so he's finally dropping the act and showing off the bag. Hongvuong couldn't care less what anyone thinks of him, casually asking the waiter if there's anything else on the menu that can actually fill his empty stomach. Seeing someone on her wavelength, Kim Tan Tan bows like a martial arts hero, praising him for being such a real one. It's her first time getting treated to a feast like this, but she's still starving. All she's done so far is chase clout for social media. The server suggests some delicacies like slow-cooked black truffle beef ribs, caviar, pineapple braised liver, and grilled honeycomb tripe. She even mentions he can order the massive 20-pound Alaskan king crab if he wants. Looking bored, he tells them to just bring out the crab, wagyu, and imported lamb, and to chop it all up for him. The staff immediately rushes to the kitchen to get that order moving. Chiem Tantan starts sweating, loudly telling him to stop flexing so hard. She's never seen someone order like that in a high-end restaurant in her entire life. Hutam Nak agrees, saying if he just wanted to stuff his face, there was no need to come to a fancy French spot. She couldn't help but feel suspicious about Damshu deep down. Is he actually a legit rich heir or what? Or is he just some new money fraud or clout chasing someone else's status? Huang Vuong couldn't care less, casually ordering skewers of grilled kidneys and lamb like he owns the place. He was literally stressing the poor waitress out. She initially tried to accommodate his street food requests, but then panicked and reminded him that they only served high-end fine dining here. She apologized profusely, saying his items weren't on the menu and he'd have to order something else. Our boy immediately demanded to see the manager, not vibing with the current service. The waitress bowed, looking visibly flustered. She told him to hold his horses while she grabbed the manager, wondering if this guy was trolling or just insane. Shortly after, the restaurant's senior manager strolled in, introducing himself with a stiff, professional vibe. He apologized again, stating that since it's a French restaurant, they only serve French cuisine. Huang Vuong gave him a cold look, thinking, can a guy get some grilled kidneys in a French spot? Seriously? Huang Vuong didn't sweat it, holding up 3 fingers and offering 300k for the meal, plus a 500k tip if they could just serve the damn kidneys and lamb skewers. The moment he dropped the bag, the manager and everyone else nearby had their jaws on the floor, echoing the insane price he just threw out. Money really talks. The manager's tone did a total 180, bowing and asking how exactly he wanted those kidneys prepared. Huang Vuong smirked and gave the guy a mocking pat on the shoulder. I actually liked your arrogant attitude from a minute ago better. I'll make sure to gift you the biggest slice of kidney sashimi later so you never forget your little rebellion. The manager stood straight, adjusted his glasses, and stuttered, right away, sir. I'll have the kitchen whip that up for you immediately. Ding! The system just awarded our boy 500k for ignoring the restaurant's rules and forcing a high-end manager to fold for the sake of a paycheck. He raised an eyebrow, thinking this system is honestly a total cheat code for life's little headaches. Once they had the private room to themselves, he told the group that filling your stomach is the only thing that truly matters, right? Chim Thon Thon enthusiastically agreed, giving him a thumbs up. She was hyped, thinking about how these grilled kidneys at a fancy restaurant would absolutely break her social media feed. Before long, the food started rolling out, looking exactly like the high-end spread you'd expect. Chiem Ton Ton scanned the table and sighed, thinking money really does make the world go round. She pulled out her phone to capture the moment, her mind racing with excitement. Who would believe she's eating street-style skewers at a 3-star Michelin restaurant in the tallest building in Tang City? Huang Vuong looked satisfied and casually asked if the 3 ladies wanted to join him for the meal. A little while later, the table was looking pretty empty. Huang Vuong wiped his mouth with a napkin, feeling like his hunger had been properly addressed. He politely excused himself to head to the restroom. As soon as he stepped out, the 3 girls huddled together like a pack of gossiping schoolgirls. Chiem Ton Ton kicked things off. Spending over 500k on a single meal and tossing out tips like that, he's definitely a mega-rich heir. She pointed at Cao Van, asking if a guy like that joined their small company just to get closer to her. Cao Van didn't think she was that much of a catch. She figured he was just bored, playing pretend employee, and would quit the second he got tired of it. Chiem Ton Ton nodded in agreement, adding that you don't see many rich kids actually wanting to get their hands dirty. On the flip side, Cao Tam Noi suddenly put a hand on Cao Van, throwing out a spicy question. Are you really not feeling anything for him? Chiem Ton Ton chirped in with a playful wink for Cao Van. A guy drops a fortune just to treat you to dinner. How could you not be into it? Cao Tam Noi pressed on, betting that Cao Van's calmness just meant she'd already planned this out and was keeping it secret from them. No wonder she'd been rejecting those top-tier donors on her live streams. She'd clearly aimed for a bigger fish. Cao Van protested while chewing, insisting they weren't even close, so why would she be into him? Besides, they'd never talked outside of work, and she had no clue he was some secret billionaire heir. She paused, looking pensive, noting that Huang Vuong's work style had always been super simple. He just acted like a normal worker, putting in the grind, staying active, and never complaining when it was time to put in overtime. Not wanting to keep listening to her yapping, Chu Jinnuo reluctantly accepted her explanation. But she still suspected that Hang Jingwang was just faking his wealth in front of everyone, treating them to a feast, renting a luxury car, wearing designer clothes, and even maxing out his credit cards, or taking out online loans just to feed his own vanity. Zhang Qingqing immediately jumped on board with this theory, because if he really was faking poverty, his acting skills would be Oscar-worthy. Qu Xinnuo's expression turned dark as she decided it would be easy enough to check if he's actually a rich heir or not. She had a plan, but it all depended on whether Gao Wen would cooperate. Gao Wen looked unhappy and slammed her chopsticks down, making it clear she wasn't having any of it. Huang Wang paid for their dinner, so suspecting him like this is honestly just trashy behavior. Qu Xinnuo shot a cold, piercing glare at her, mentally calling her a fake innocent green tea snake. Composing herself, she started calculating that since the girl had the potential to be a top-tier streamer, spending a few $100,000 on her was a solid investment. This is the only way to stop those Japanese agency sharks from controlling our rising star. If she doesn't do this, once the girl becomes dependent on him and his true colors are revealed, it'll be way too late to regret it. Gao Wen puffed out her chest, insisting she had zero intention of developing a relationship with him just for the money. Qu Xinnuo took charge, determined to test if he was actually a legit rich heir. Gao Wen wouldn't even have to do anything, just play along with them a little bit, that's all. Besides, they're geese, so they'll just do the investigating for her. A moment later, the whole group headed down to the parking lot. Gao Wen thought to herself that if Xinguang was just faking it, she'd pay him back for dinner. She really hoped he was just a genuine guy. Suddenly, Zhang Qingqing asked with a curious vibe, "Do you have a girlfriend yet?" He answered seriously, without even a second thought. "Our boy has been single since day one, and it's still the same story now." Zhang Qingqing's jaw dropped in disbelief, and as she pressed for confirmation, he explained. He was always grinding overtime before, so where would he even find the time for dating? In his head, he was thinking about how being a corporate slave only nets him a few thousand yuan a month. Being a simp after clocking out just drains the wallet. He's not that desperate. While thinking, he imagined himself being pampered and served by a beautiful queen. Qu Xinnuo changed the subject on her phone, noting it was past 9 and suggesting they all hit a bar for drinks. Even though she wasn't as loaded as Brother Hang, she could at least cover a few rounds for the squad. She knew a high-end bar that was a hangout spot for influencers where they could pick up pro streaming tips, so he happily agreed without a second thought. Sitting in the car, he was hyped, thinking since he wasn't exactly broke anymore, some networking might help him launch his own media company later. After all, he's definitely got the skills for the industry. Not long after, they pulled up to the club and Qu Xinnuo warned them that the prices here were insane. With her budget, she could only cover 2 drinks per person. Anything more than that, and you're on your own. Any objections? Zhang Qingqing chirped back, "No problem, I'm down for whatever." Gao Wen told Xinguang to just have a few drinks and enjoy the vibe. He was more than happy to oblige. While the 4 of them were chatting, his absolute trash of a boss walked right past them with a girl on each arm. Thankfully, they hadn't crossed paths yet. Xinguang was still riding the hype train inside. He never thought he'd actually have the chance to step into a club this exclusive. Just thinking about it got him fired up. The atmosphere inside the bar was wild and packed with all kinds of people. Everyone was doing their own thing, just there to catch a vibe. The 4 of them picked a secluded corner, desperately trying to hide the fact that they were complete newbies to this vibe. Qu Xinmo was a total regular here and acted like she owned the place, grabbing the menu and suggesting they all start with a margarita before doing whatever they wanted. Right after, Cao Wen gently ordered a mojito for himself. He had to keep it non-alcoholic since he was the designated driver tonight. Qin Qingqing happily ordered herself a pink lady. Qu Xinmo turned to our boy with fake enthusiasm, asking what he wanted while secretly judging him. Like, is this rich heir some kind of sheltered caveman who's never stepped foot in a bar? He's out here, looking like he's seeing the outside world for the very first time. Shang Wang snapped out of it, and when she repeated her question, he just waved her off, saying he didn't care. So, Qu Xinmo maliciously ordered him the strongest drink on the menu. Qing Qing leaned in close and whispered a subtle warning. "Why are you trying to get him that wasted? Are you trying to make him spill his secrets while he's drunk? Don't be so extra." Qu Xinmo acted all innocent, asking if bars weren't meant for drinking anyway. A moment later, Qu Xinmo raised her glass, bragging that this bar had a legendary mixologist named Danny. His skills are top tier, and his cocktails usually cost a fortune. Still, she insisted on testing it just to see if the flavor lived up to the hype. Getting exactly what she was implying, Cao Wen gritted his teeth, holding back his rage as he told her to cut the crap. But Qu Xinmo thought if he was just pretending to be rich, this would be a perfect wake-up call. Xiang Wang didn't even care that they were whispering about him. His eyes were scanning the room, hunting for some high-profile connections to secure the bag, completely ignoring Qu Xinmo's call, which honestly made her feel like she'd been slapped in the face, internally fuming that he was still ghosting her. Only when she called out again did he snap back to reality and answer her. Seeing him looking so checked out, she suggested they play some dice to spice things up. He acted interested and asked how she wanted to play. Chu Sinmo pulled out the dice set she'd brought, suggesting a risky game. Losers have to take off an item of clothing, or pay a 10,000 yuan penalty instead. Shang Wang stepped right into her personal space, his gaze icy and dominant, reminding himself that he used to run a whole company. He already had these girls' files memorized, including the fact that she was a pro at dice who had never lost a game in her life. Did she really think she could trap him into a scam to bleed him dry? Our boy decided to drop the act and say exactly what was on her mind. You're all probably thinking, look at this broke 5,000 yuan a month loser who has no future. He knows nothing about the high life of the wealthy, yet here he is, wearing expensive designer threads and flexing at a luxury restaurant just to show off. The more he spoke, the darker his expression grew, stating he only kept things civil to keep Cao Wen from losing face. He wasn't some soft pushover that anyone could just bully. Plus, he could read the sheer disgust and contempt in her eyes like a book. Suddenly, the system interface popped up, dropping a reward to soothe our protagonist's mood. Host rejected the game, showcased a high alpha personality, and exposed the villainous scheme, rewarded 1 million yuan. Congrats, host, on hitting a new milestone. Account balance now exceeds 1 million, current total, 1.89 million yuan. Feeling much better now, he admitted he wasn't some rich heir after all. Chu Jinmo laughed and pointed at him mockingly. I knew it, you're just a poser trying to act big. A sudden smirk crept onto his lips as he told her he wasn't finished yet. Staring straight into her soul, his face stone cold, he told her that while he wasn't a rich heir, he certainly wasn't short on cash. I'll offer you 300,000 yuan to buy all the clothes off your back right now. Are you down to be kicked out of this bar completely naked? Chu Jinmo turned bright red instantly, covering herself and calling him a total pervert. Cao Wen rushed to play mediator, grabbing Xiang Wang's sleeve and begging him not to snap, claiming Chu Sinmo was just joking and they should just sit down and finish their drinks. She wasn't having it and shrieked, demanding to know if he even had the 300,000 yuan to begin with. Not wanting to waste any more time on her, he stood up and shouted to grab the attention of every partygoer in the room. Drinks are on me tonight, 30,000 yuan for everyone in the house. Tonight we stay till we drop, no going home sober. Speaking at the exact same time, he flashed a gold credit card between his fingers and demanded to swipe it. The vibe inside the club instantly cranked up to max. Shang Wangshan struck a pose, radiating absolute main character energy. The waiter bowed deeply, handed back the card, and announced that a clean 3 million had been successfully charged. The whole crowd erupted into cheers, eyes sparkling like stars in pure disbelief as they gave him massive props. Now that is how you flex with pure unadulterated cash. Shang Wang casually slid the card back into his pocket, while everyone around him lost their minds screaming. Who knew a club trip would turn into an absolute goldmine, with people practically blessing his entire lineage just because he bought everyone drinks? Boom! The system popped up, host out here throwing cash and treating everyone to drinks like an absolute legend. Talk about a massive power move. Bonus reward unlocked, 666 million. Seeing Xingwang slowly stroll out of the crowd, Chu Xinwo froze in absolute shock, never expecting him to drop 3 million just like that. Xingwang brushed past Xinwo, deliberately slowing down his pace, to drop a few parting words straight from the heart. She thought she was hot stuff looking down on him for being broke with a garbage salary, but our boy never gave a single care about what anyone thought of him. Either way, a woman like her was nothing more than a mosquito in his eyes, a shallow NPC easily bought and sold who would eventually get humbled by cash. Shang Wang walked back to his table with Gao Wen and Qing Qing, while Xinnuo took a minute to collect herself before dragging her shattered ego back to her seat. The atmosphere got painfully awkward, with Qing Qing dying to say something but having zero idea where to even start. Meanwhile, our boy just chilled, rolling the dice on the table like she didn't even exist, refusing to let her turn him into a joke. Panicking and completely flustered, Xinnuo jumped up and made up a lame excuse that she had to head out early. And just like that, she bolted out of the club in absolute tears. Sensing the mood hitting rock bottom, our boy hyped everyone right back up, telling them to keep the party rolling, because drinks were still 100% on him. Out of nowhere, a pink-haired e-girl strutted over to their table swirling a drink and shot Gao Wen a super condescending look. Well, if it isn't our famous streamer right here. Today must be my lucky day running into local royalty. Dropping her voice low, Lu Shangyi leaned in close, serving up a heavy dose of pure malice. Your big sugar daddy isn't looking so high and mighty today, is he? Should we start taking bets on whether he's ever showing his face here again? Keeping her cool, Gao Wen fired back with a deadpan stare, telling her work hours are over so she can keep her corporate drama to herself. The tension between the two hit a boiling point as Lu Shangyi refused to back down an inch. Reaching out, she gave Gao Wen a mocking pat on the cheek and kept right on digging her own grave. You're only good at putting on that fake innocent act every single day, trying to seduce people while acting all high and mighty. Completely repulsed, Gao Wen slapped Lu Shangyi's hand away and coldly told her to mind her own damn business. Lu Shangyi straightened right back up and dropped a sarcastic chuckle. Oh, come on, no need to throw a tantrum over nothing. Sitting right next to them, Xiang Wang watched the whole clown show in total silence. Lu Shangyi suddenly slammed her chair right next to Gao Wen, making her flinch and jump back while demanding to know what her deal was. Lu Shangyi whipped out her phone, scrolling away while dropping major shade. It is super rare to catch Chu Xingxing doing a live broadcast out in the wild. People in our line of work gotta ride those trending topics, you know? Can't believe you're too slow to even get that. Bam! Lu Shangyi instantly went live, smiling brightly as she bragged to her chat that she just bumped into Gao Wen at a club. Such a rare crossover event, she asked her viewers if they wanted to watch a live in-person PK battle right now. Lu Shangyi shoved her phone camera straight into Gao Wen's face and started playing the ultimate victim. She claims she hates drama, so chat you better spam her hard enough so she's forced to accept my challenge. Right on cue, Gao Wen's phone started buzzing non-stop, with fans begging her to take down that absolute clown. You seriously gonna let Lu Shangyi walk all over you like that? Some viewers were already hyping up the epic queen clash, while others were straight up calling her out and asking if she was shaking in her boots. Smirking wickedly, Lu Shangyi angled the camera back at Gao Wen, totally confident that her whale donors in the VIP group were locked and loaded to drop space rockets and skyrocket her to the #1 dancing blogger spot. There was zero chance they'd miss out on a massive cloud explosion like this. She just needed the big spenders to pull up and do their thing. Rolling her eyes, Gao Wen flashed her incoming call screen and announced she needed to step outside to take this real quick. The person on the other end started screaming and demanding she start streaming right this second. Absolutely no way they were missing out on this viral trend. She stammered out an excuse that she just wasn't in the right headspace today. The guy barked back that every single trending creator was already live, so she better turn it on whether she liked it or not, or face the consequences. Gao Wen clenched her fists, forced to swallow this inhumane demand from her trash-tier boss. Right as she walked back in, she overheard Lu Shangyi and her simps trash-talking her and claiming she ran away like a coward. The fake snake immediately switched up her tune, acting all sweet and praising Gao Wen as a super dedicated worker the second she noticed her standing right behind her. The moment Gao Wen stepped up onto the stage, that two-faced snake grabbed her arm all buddy-buddy and asked if she was feeling nervous at all. Gao Wen replied with a deadpan stare, asking what on earth she had to be scared of. Boom! Two top-tier hot girl streamers, who had been taking the internet by storm, hit the stage, phones locked and loaded for livestream mode. Without making the chat wait a single second, both queens immediately busted out their top-tier dance moves and shook the room. Sitting down in the front row, Zhan Qingqing scrolled through her phone and went wide-eyed at all the space rockets and luxury yachts flying across the screen. Meanwhile, Lu Shangyi felt her hype levels shooting through the roof when she noticed her senior Gao Wen slowly falling behind in the background. Right on cue, someone in the chat started asking if Gao Wen was using some heavy-duty filters in her broadcast room. Why is her energy looking worse and worse by the minute? Other viewers were straight up disappointed, saying that head-to-head, Gao Wen was clearly miles behind Lu Shangyi. Some unloyal fans even smashed the unfollow button and sprinted over to Feng Live just to simp for the account titled Long Live Shangyi. By this point, both live chat rooms were completely blowing up. Some viewers were genuinely shocked that their beloved goddess Wen was actually getting outdanced by this rookie. Others felt bad, saying Gao Wen looked completely exhausted, like she was forced into a PK match while running on empty. The snake's diehard simps immediately jumped into White Knight for her, telling everyone to stop making lame excuses. Looks like the top leaderboard spot is officially getting a new owner today. Xiang Wang couldn't just sit back and watch anymore, gripping his phone while muttering under his breath about how dirty these people were playing. Just as the comment section turned into a total war zone, with everyone fighting over their idols, the very first space rocket blasted off from Gao Wen's side of the screen. The massive gift came courtesy of a user named Wandering Hero Who Fights Injustice. Seeing Big Bro Wang drop a rocket made Gao Wen's jaw drop to the floor in pure shock, before she quickly flashed finger hearts and playfully called out his username to say a massive thank you. The PK match had only 2 minutes and 29 seconds left on the clock, and while Lu Shangyi was still leading, the point gap was shrinking fast. But the score flipped on its head almost instantly as that ridiculously long-named account started spamming space rockets non-stop for Gao Wen, making her smile from ear to ear as she continuously thanked the mega whale. While Gao Wen was happily shouting out thank yous, Lu Shangyi looked like she had just glitched out in real life, and the chat exploded into total confusion as everyone panicked over what was happening. So many rockets were firing off that you couldn't even see the streamers' faces anymore. Was this actually a random wandering whale stepping in to deliver instant justice? Lu Shangyi's eyes burned with pure salt as she mentally cursed that annoying little brat for pulling a secret sugar daddy out of nowhere. Over in her own stream room, her core simps were completely losing their minds. How on earth did her vote count get completely bulldozed like that out of nowhere? Did someone seriously hack the system or something? This is way too sketchy to be real. Some sharp-eyed viewers immediately pointed out that some big boss was dropping a space rocket like clockwork every single 2 minutes. Others started begging the wealthy donors to back Shangyi up and dump all their remaining firepower right now. Realists in the chat just said the point gap was way too massive to close now, telling everyone to take the L and give up. Lu Shangyi gripped her phone so hard, her knuckles turned white, grinding her teeth as she thought about how money didn't grow on trees, asking how anyone could possibly blow cash like this. Meanwhile, watching endless space rockets rain down on her screen, Gao Wen couldn't stop thanking the user, while silently thinking this guy was showing off way too hard. Down in the comments, the account Wandering Hero Who Fights Injustice instantly became the main character of the entire stream. This was the absolute first time he ever showed up, and he immediately threw millions down on a beauty just like that. Who the heck is this guy in real life? Some genius predicted it was probably just the talent agency trying to hype Gao Wen up. Peering up at the stage, Xiang Wang wondered to himself if they were finally done fighting yet. The system popped up instantly to roast the situation as completely unhinged. Host out here spending money like water, awarding the host 5 million in pocket change. Standing right next to him, Zhen Qingqing's jaw hit the floor in total disbelief. Gao Wen already stopped dancing, and this mega whale is still continuing to drop gifts. Is she seriously just some kid mashing buttons on her phone right now? She's too busy eyeballing the screen to notice our boy Wang's fingers flying across his phone screen like a pro. The platform's notification system is going absolute ballistic as Cao Wen's screen gets nuked with constant rocket gifts. Congrats, you've officially hit the whale status and unlocked the millionaire tier. The chat is absolutely exploding and the view count is climbing. Some simps in the comments are literally drooling over how gorgeous Cao Wen looks. She's clutching her chest, sweating bullets, and trying to get her heart rate under control. The rocket count is still skyrocketing, hitting a total of 2,000 rockets gifted. In the rival fan group, their leader is fuming in the dark, lighting a cigarette, and demanding to know how they let themselves get clapped like this. Like, seriously? Is it really that hard to beat a measly 10,000? He rallies his crew, telling them they absolutely have to secure the top spot for his girl, no matter the cost. Instantly, Lu Shui's top donator launches the first rocket to keep the lead for her. Then, the other high-tier whales follow suit, dumping another 5 rockets on her. It doesn't stop there. The viewers are spamming low-tier gifts at her, too. She glances over at Cao Wen, who's still grinding, shaking, and showing off her dance moves. Shui is thinking about how her top donor promised her a private video that he still hasn't sent yet. This is the perfect moment for a hero to swoop in and save the damsel in distress. He's definitely not passing up this chance to flex. Right on cue, the comments on our stream start blowing up. The randoms on the other side are about to catch up. Are you guys really just gonna stop donating now? Shui is looking smug, totally confident in her win. Meanwhile, Wang's fingers are moving at light speed, and in a flash, he drops 100 rockets on Cao Wen's stream. His massive impulsive flex successfully nets Cao Wen a 10 million payout. Predictably, Cao Wen wins the PK battle, and she blows kisses to everyone who had her back. Especially her guy Wang, who basically carried the whole team with his absolute unit of a donation. Even though the match is over, the rockets keep flying like they're going out of style. The count passes 1,000, leaving Cao Wen completely stunned and speechless. The system pings. Congrats, host, you've just become the top daily donator on the Xuanyan platform. Cao Wen bows low, thanking the absolute legend who made her famous and snagged her 1 million views in a single night. She even gives a humble shout-out, saying money is hard to come by, and we shouldn't waste it on a small-time streamer like her. Her down-to-earth vibe just makes the viewers like her even more. The comments are flooded with praise, saying it's rare to find a streamer so pure-hearted who actually cares about her fans. She's so adorable, it's no wonder she totally crushed the competition. That was a neck-and-neck fight. Nobody expected that kind of blowout result. Staring at her phone, Lu Shui is looking dark and moody, wondering what the hell just happened. Could the legendary tycoon Mang Hu have actually fallen for Cao Wen at first sight? In just one night, she became a viral superstar, pulling in millions in rewards and 1 million views, a total record-breaking feat. Wang stretches his arms, looking lazy as ever, and says it's getting late so he's heading out. He doesn't miss the chance to throw a little shade at Lu Shui on his way out. Don't be mad, Miss Lu, you weren't actually that bad today. You've got plenty of whales ready to drop money on your yacht gifts. If you play your cards right, you might even pass Cao Wen one day. Zhen Qingqing whispers to Cao Wen that Wang is totally just trying to troll that Lu girl to death. She quickly puts a hand to her mouth, signaling her to keep it down. The 3 of them file out of the club, heading for the exit. Ching Ching is all hyped, vibing and gossiping about how hilarious it was to see Lu Shui look so pale and triggered. Wonder what was going through her head at that moment. Talk about a massive L, tried to play the field and ended up losing everything. It's been an eye-opening night. Grabbed a meal with a rich kingpin like Wang and found out he's the top whale on the whole Xuanyin app. Looking over at the gorgeous Cao Wen, she wonders why she's not even acting fazed by all this. Cao Wen just says calmly that she's honestly feeling pretty weird about the whole thing. That massive whale account never showed up on her stream before, so for them to drop that much cash today out of nowhere actually freaked her out. Thon Thon tried to comfort her, saying, "Don't worry about it, it's probably just some random rich guy being a legend." She decided she had to add this big brother Vuong to her contacts and shoot him a DM in a bit. She started tapping away at her phone while she talked. At the same moment, Hong Hong Vuong was also holding his phone. As soon as Chiam Tan Tan sent the message, the protagonist's crusty old phone started ringing, making both girls stare at him in confusion. Chiam Tan Tan immediately questioned him, asking if that wasn't the notification sound for the streaming app. Why did his phone ring the exact moment she sent the message? She already had a sinking suspicion in her gut. Before she could finish, he waved his hand, saying it was all just a misunderstanding, telling them not to look at him like that. He claimed he just quit some side jobs and hadn't handed over the work yet, so they were just sending reminders. Cao Van logically figured that made sense. He had just spent a few $100,000 earlier, and the guy on the app dropped millions, so there was no way he could cough up that much cash at once. Hung Vuong laughed along, saying, "Right, a normal guy like me just has some savings. How could I compare to that whale who drops millions every minute? It's just too extra." Thon Thon sighed, saying it was a shame, as she really thought Big Brother Vuong was actually him. Dropping the topic, Cao Van suddenly asked where Hung Vuong lived so she could give him a ride. He turned her down, saying he lived at Long Ho Tan Tan, and it was out of her way, so he'd just grab a cab. Suddenly, someone called out to Cao Van, making her turn around to see some trash-tier CEO looking drunk and acting like a total creep. He complimented her, saying her performance just now was top tier. Luckily, he managed to chase her down here. Then he caught sight of the protagonist and sneered, "Isn't this my old employee? Unemployed and still out here spending money? Must be getting sugar-babied by a beautiful woman, right? Totally useless, just living off women." Cao Van stepped in and grabbed the protagonist's arm, claiming that she was the one taking advantage of him. She said that all the expenses tonight were covered by Mr. Vuong. Her words left him stunned into silence. A moment later, the CEO pointed at him and started questioning her. "How could you possibly like this broke loser? And you're even going out of your way to protect him?" It's not like he didn't know someone mysterious had paid for all their drinks tonight. Seeing the protagonist stay quiet, the CEO got even more arrogant, bad-mouthing him for just having a silver tongue to scam innocent girls. Chiam Tan Tan couldn't take it anymore and stood up, confirming that it was Hung Vuong who paid for everyone. CEO Ha glared at her and snapped, "Who gave you permission to speak here?" He pointed at Chiam Tan Tan and told her not to get ahead of herself, thinking that just because she has a few fans, she can climb the social ladder. In reality, her fans are all just fake bot accounts. Chiam Tan Tan felt like she was struck by lightning, unable to believe what the sleazebag was saying, but he just kept going, claiming the company spent a fortune on bots to boost her stats, while she only got trash-tier ads that no one saw. Chiam Tan Tan went pale as he mocked her for being a total loser, telling her to learn from Cao Van, who made millions for the company in one night just by dancing. He didn't stop there, mocking her for acting like a pure innocent girl on stream when she's just a manipulative fox. Then he switched to a suck-up attitude towards Cao Van. "Aren't you tired of just live streaming and dancing?" As he spoke, he leaned in closer to Cao Van with a fake compliment. "You made so much money today. If you just agree to my one condition, I'll get you a supporting role in a drama filming tomorrow." He reached out with his filthy hand toward her and continued, telling her she needs to sleep with him tonight. Before he could finish or touch her, his gross hand was gripped tightly by someone else. Hung Vuong stood in front of Cao Van, shielding her and warning him to have some self-respect. CEO Ha scoffed, slapping his hand away and mocking him for trying to play the hero when he's just a low-life nobody. He pointed his finger at the two of them, questioning their intentions. "Can you even provide any resources for her? Do you honestly think you can be a pillar of support for anyone? Wearing that fake designer outfit that reeks of poverty, and you still think you're the main character? You better get the hell out of here before I lose my patience." Cao Wen turned around to threaten him. "If you keep harassing me, I'm terminating my contract with the company right now." He put on a condescending face and offered a fake friendly reminder. "You signed a 5-year contract with the company, and there's still a year left. If you try to pull a runner now, that's a breach of contract and you'll owe 10 million in damages. A bottom feeder like you, can you even afford to pay that kind of cash?" She calmly clapped back, stating that the revenue she generated for the company today, plus her previous savings, is more than enough to pay off the penalty. After being hit with that brutal face slap, He Shui went absolutely feral, spewing insults and calling her a puppet with a fixed price tag on the internet. If you were back in the old days, you'd be nothing more than a slave for sale, so who are you trying to impress with this fake high and mighty act? He stepped closer to Cao Wen and emphasized that even if she could pay the penalty, the company would never let her go that easily. The more he talked, the more his sinister nature started to leak out. No one just tosses away a cash cow like you. They'll blacklist you from the entire industry once they're done with you. Isn't that just a simple matter of a single word from CEO Neo? Just then, Xing Wang stepped in to shield her, telling her not to worry because buying out the Miaokun Media Group would solve everything. As he said that, he gave a lopsided grin, confirming that when the dust settled, the one getting kicked out wouldn't be Cao Wen, but that trash-tier villain. CEO, he looked confused, not knowing how to clap back at such a flex. Outside the bar, He Shui put on a deeply mocking and venomous face. Hilarious. A broke loser like Xing Wang actually thinks he can buy out the company? What is he even trying to flex with that nonsense? Mid-sentence, he spat on the ground and turned to walk away. By this time, Zhang Qingqing was a teary-eyed mess, her legs feeling like jelly as she wondered how much of He Shui's trash talk was actually true. Were all the fans and big bosses donating to her just bots bought by the company to inflate her numbers? The more she thought about it, the more she felt like there was some truth to his words. Cao Wen immediately grabbed her hand to comfort her, saying it wasn't like that at all. Her makeup live streams genuinely get massive viewership, and there are legitimately big shots who like her content. He Shui's words were just a scare tactic to make her feel like she's nothing without the company. He's just exploiting the situation to force her to bow down and submit to him. Cao Wen tucked her hair back and told her not to waste energy being sad over words from such a snake. Xing Wang watched the interaction and saw Cao Wen in a new light, lingering his gaze on her a bit longer than usual. Cao Wen thanked Xing Wang for stepping in to defend her, thanked Zhang Qingqing for clearing her name, and apologized for getting her dragged into the mess with He Shui. Wiping away her tears, Qingqing forced a smile and said, "It's nothing. If it weren't for Cao Wen, I wouldn't have realized just how much of a scumbag he really is." Just thinking about He Shui made her stomp her foot and curse him out. Cao Wen then looked at Xing Wang and gave him a friendly reminder. "We're just former colleagues. You don't need to keep protecting me." Xing Wang chuckled and explained that he never liked He Shui's arrogant attitude anyway, and this was just a perfect opportunity to teach him a lesson. Realizing she couldn't control his choices, Cao Wen wished him success in finding better opportunities after leaving the company. "If our paths cross again, I hope to see you standing at the peak, shining bright." He reached out to shake her hand, politely telling her to take care of herself too. After saying goodbye, Cao Wen drove off, leaving Xing Wang alone to check his phone, where the balance had hit 9 figures. Our boy is officially a millionaire now. Feeling the hype, he started planning to buy a bus ticket home, but then thought, I'm rich now, might as well fly first class. Out of habit, he checked the price for economy, but was shocked to see the prices had skyrocketed compared to last time. He finally decided to book business class, just to see what the hype was about. The moment the booking was confirmed, the system triggered a reward. Ding! Congrats host for choosing to enjoy a business class flight. Reward, 9,099 yuan. Keep grinding and enjoying the good life. The more you spend, the more luxurious you live, the higher your rewards. Early the next morning, Xing Wang was deep in sleep at the men's dorm when someone started pounding on his door like their life depended on it. The landlady is screaming for rent, but our boy just buries his head under the covers, annoyed by the noise. It's the same old story. She's always demanding rent a week early, even though the deadline isn't even here yet. Outside, she's spamming his door, telling him to stop pretending he's not home and pay up already. He sighs and yells back, I'm coming. Chill out. Don't you want anyone to get some sleep around here? As soon as the door opens, the landlady starts yapping about how the youth these days are just lazy bums who need a million reminders to pay rent. While she's still busy lecturing him, a notification pings on her phone. Our boy flexes and tells her he just paid the rent for the entire year up front, so she can stop bugging him. She checks her account, sees an extra 10,000, and is left standing there completely confused. Wasn't this broke loser Xing Wang the type who usually had to be hunted down 3 times a month just to cough up the rent? And wait, he even tipped an extra 400? Where is this bottom feeder getting all this cash? When she asks, he lets out a long yawn and says, keep the change. Consider it a tip for all the annoying trips you've made this year. With that, Xing Wang slams the door in her face, leaving the landlady stunned in the hallway, completely forgetting how to react. He flops back onto his bed, whispering to himself that he's still got 3 hours until his flight and can definitely squeeze in a nap. His roommate, who just witnessed the whole flex, is dying of curiosity. Bro, did you just hit the jackpot? You paid a year in advance and even tossed her a 400 yuan bonus? Silence follows, because our protagonist is already snoring like a chainsaw. Suddenly, the system pings in his head. Host's enlightenment level is off the charts. Reward: the Swan Villa in Tang City. The shock wakes him up instantly, and as the keys to a luxury mansion appear in his hand, he mumbles in disbelief. Wait, so I don't just have a place to stay, I'm now the owner of a literal mansion? His roommate, still staring from the bottom bunk, has no idea what our boy is tripping over. Xing Wang immediately jumps out of bed and starts getting dressed, leaving his roommate wondering why he's moving, like he's running from the cops. He bolts out the door without looking back. He shouts that he's heading back to his hometown for a while and won't be back anytime soon. His roommate chases him down, asking, "Wait, aren't you going to pack your stuff?" Our boy just brushes him off, saying, "Nah, don't need it." He's already halfway out the door. In his head, he's already planning to move his mom to a VIP ward so she can get the royal treatment she deserves. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Mr. Hang is peeling an apple for his wife and casually mentions that Xing Wang is coming home today. He tries to reassure his wife, but he's still wondering why the kid sent over 100,000 yuan, claiming it was just from a part-time job. Mom is skeptical, thinking there's no way a part-time gig pays better than a full-time career. She even worries that he might be doing something illegal just to pay for her medical bills. Mr. Hang just chuckles, noting that their son isn't that kind of person, and they should trust him more. They're mid-conversation when Xing Wang suddenly bursts through the door, panting and frantic, checking on his mom's health. Seeing him soaked in sweat, his mom's heart breaks, and she tells him to calm down, she's fine. It was just a minor issue that needed a quick procedure. All her vitals are back in the green. She doesn't forget to tell his dad to share the apple he just peeled with their son. The old man hands him a slice and asks if he's been running into any trouble lately. Did your boss give you a hard time for taking time off? Xing Wang doesn't beat around the bush and says he already quit that job. The parents are stunned, both of them gasping in unison. Wait, really? His mom immediately softens, saying if he quit, he'll definitely find something way better soon. Mr. Hang is on the same page. He thinks Xing Wang should just take this time to rest and eat well, since he looks like he's lost way too much weight. A wave of emotion hits Xing Wang as he listens to them. He realizes his parents are his true sanctuary. They're the only ones who understand and support his every move. He suddenly remembers something important and asks, "Dad, did we pay off all the hospital bills yet?" Patting him on the shoulder, his dad assures him he's already borrowed enough to cover the down payment for the hospital. Don't stress about the money, just focus on spending time with your mom. He insists on paying back that 100,000 yuan, knowing how expensive life in the big city can be for a young man. My parents are still doing fine on their own. There is no need for you to worry about them. But Xing Wang insisted on not taking the money back, since as a son, he should be providing for his parents. At this point, he asked who his father had borrowed from so he could pay them back first. The old man awkwardly scratched his face, answering that he just borrowed it from some relatives. He frowned and pressed for details about the relatives, guessing could it be the uncle and aunt. Knowing exactly what kind of people they were, Wang turned around, intent on paying them back immediately. But the old man grabbed his arm to stop him, insisting he would pay it back himself as soon as possible. It is not easy to make money in the city, so why waste it on those two? The mother couldn't hold it back anymore, covering her face and crying, blaming herself and her illness for being a burden to her husband and son. The more she spoke, the louder she cried. More than anyone, she knew every cent Xing Wang earned was sent home, living in squalor without a single complaint. How could she bear to use his money for medical bills? She calculated that with a salary of 5,000 yuan, he still had to pay rent and living expenses. With the need to socialize with coworkers, how could there possibly be any money left? He awkwardly scratched his head, explaining that it really wasn't as hard as they thought. Sitting down next to his mother, he clarified things. His side hustle pays a ton, otherwise how could he send so much home to them? He then revealed his plan. He would bring the best doctor here to treat his mother. The medicine will be top tier as well. No need to worry about the price tag. With a firm attitude, he continued, I am going to pay back the money Dad borrowed from the uncle. I don't want to owe them any favors. Leaving the hospital, Xing Wang hopped on a farm truck and told the driver where to go, while the uncle told him to hold on tight. Riding in the back, he was shaken to his core by the potholes, his face twisting. Why is the village road getting worse? He couldn't help but ask. They've been talking about paving the roads and fixing the drains for 2 years. Why is it still such a disaster? The driver replied, they fixed it, but it's basically the same as before. The contractors and the village officials colluded to pocket the money and run, leaving the road unpaved and a total wreck. Hearing this, he muttered, these trash-tier scammers will do anything for a buck. He lamented the poverty of his hometown and the corruption of the officials. Even an emperor couldn't manage this mess. It's just miserable. Despite the poverty, he was lucky his parents insisted on his education. Otherwise, he would be stuck in this backwater town forever. Before long, after chatting the whole way, they arrived in front of a luxurious villa. After paying the driver, he looked at the grand gate, feeling even more bitter. They are supposed to be close relatives, but they live in completely different worlds. His family lives in a crumbling hut, while the uncle has a massive estate. This wasn't even built through hard work. It was stolen property taken during the demolition of his grandfather's house. And yet, the guy had no shame, forcing his old man to sign a loan document for a measly 5,000 yuan. Brimming with resentment, he gritted his teeth and knocked, and suddenly, a stylish, pretty girl poked her head out and asked, "Who is it?" Unexpectedly, both of them gasped, calling out each other's names. Xing was momentarily stunned, wondering what Wangju was doing at his uncle's house, and when he asked, she didn't know how to answer. Suddenly, his cousin walked out, wrapping his arm around Wangju, explaining that she was his fiancée, so where else would she be? Realizing what was going on, he couldn't be bothered with them, walked right inside, and asked if his uncle was home to collect the debt. Wangju watched Xing, feeling his cold indifference, and assumed he still had feelings for her. This just made her more delusional about her own charm. Seeing his wife staring at another man, Wang Daitai looked annoyed and muttered for her not to forget she is his bride-to-be. She quickly explained he just looks so broke, so she was just taking a second look. Talking big about working in the city, but none of his clothes are even branded. He looks worse than the village trash. Saying this, she leaned into him, boasting that being with someone like him is better than anything. She gets whatever Adidas or Nike she wants. He smugly agreed, saying obviously. Xing entered the house and saw his uncle playing cards with some other guys. Spotting him, the uncle casually introduced him to his friends as his nephew who works in the city. One of them immediately chimed in, "Oh, a city boy? That must be pretty impressive, right? Working in the city must make you a ton of cash, yeah?" Another boomer chimed in, saying he heard from the neighbors that his daughter makes a ton of money in the big city every month, so surely our guy, a university grad, is raking in even more, right? Young Master Wang jumped in to flex, mocking Xing for slaving away in the city for a measly 5K a month compared to the pigs his own aunt raises back home. He even bragged about how he pays 3K a month just for that. Not content with just talking trash, he put his hand on Xing shoulder and asked how much of that pathetic 5K he actually manages to save. He went on about how rent in Tang City is expensive and the cost of living is high, claiming it barely matches the profit from his family's pig farm. Xing kept his cool, coldly reminding them he was only here to pay back his uncle, not to discuss his private life. The uncle didn't care, just kept playing his game, telling him there was no rush and to use the money for his own needs if he had something important going on. As if he wasn't going to charge interest anyway, the snake. Xing shot back, asking how he could possibly not pay him back when he has so much cash flow. They went back and forth, the uncle finally agreeing to take the money but demanding it in installments, while ordering Wang Daitai to pull out the debt ledger. A moment later, Daitai handed over the ledger, putting on a fake act about how they are all one big happy family. The uncle kept shuffling his cards while praising the boy, but Xing wasn't having any of it. He ignored their noise, did the math on the principal plus interest, and announced he had just transferred 510,000 to the uncle's account, asking him to check if it landed. The uncle pulled out his phone, checked the balance, and started panicking because the money was actually there. Stunned, he looked up at Xing and asked where the hell he got that kind of bread. Xing just turned around, walking away while flexing that he made it all in the city. Daitai, still in denial, assumed this was all the family's savings, convinced they were just trying to save face. Wangju grabbed Daitai's arm, offering to go see our boy off. She figured she should make things clear so Xing wouldn't struggle to accept that she's his sister-in-law now, avoiding any awkward family drama. Daitai agreed, thinking it was best to shut Xing down so he'd stop hallucinating about a toad eating swan meat. She chased after Xing, talking about how they're practically family now and they shouldn't let the past make things weird between them. She even had the audacity to claim she knows how much he likes her. After all, they grew up together as childhood sweethearts. In her mind, she only ever saw him as a brother anyway. She told him that since she's his sister-in-law now, he needs to stop fantasizing about her. Xing stood there, completely speechless, not even knowing how to process this level of delusion. He finally snapped, asking if she came here just to preach some moral high-ground lecture to him. The more she talked, the more disgusted he looked, firing back. "You think I like you? Take a look in the mirror, you're not exactly a prize." Wangju turned red with rage, screeching, "Do you have any idea who you're talking to?" Crossing his arms, Xing countered, "Who's childhood sweethearts? You and me? Just because we played in the mud when we were kids, you think you're actually worth something?" He initially thought she was decent and not the type to chase status, but turns out she's just as shallow and toxic as the rest of them. But honestly, at this point, he couldn't care less about her. Wangju convinced herself that he was just acting out because he couldn't have her, acting like she was doing him a favor by being his understanding sister-in-law. She told him he needed to grow up and just let the past go. Her constant blabbering made him want to lose his mind. Refusing to entertain her any longer, he just walked away. Wangju wasn't having it and chased him down, blocking his path. She started yelling, asking who he thought he was to talk to her with that tone. She mocked him for thinking he was smart just because he read a few books. She spat that useless scholars like him are the most pathetic people on earth. Plus, so what if she's a gold digger? If she married into the uncle's family, she'd live in luxury, but what about him? Living in the city, crammed into a tiny 10-square-meter shoebox of an apartment. Back here, his dump of a house would probably blow away in a light breeze. She kept digging, bringing up his sick mother, and how she's a bottomless pit for money that would drain him dry. She acted like she was doing him a favor by reminding him of reality. Xinguang just stared at her, listening to her insults. She asked who would even want to be with someone as unstable as him. Xinguang finally snapped, "Are you done yet? You frog in a well? Does your mouth always smell this bad? Or are you just naturally delusional? You think everyone is out here chasing your mediocre self? I have never seen anyone as self-obsessed as you in my entire life." She was shaking with pure rage, pointing a finger at his face for ages, without being able to squeeze out a single word. He immediately fired back, "Say that again? How exactly am I doing? Even though I might not have as much cash or skills as my cousin, at least I'm hardworking, ambitious, and actually have a brain. I'm self-made, I don't rely on anyone, I know I'm better than most people, and I don't act like a total NPC with zero common sense. You should really use me as a role model." The system instantly popped up to hype him up, telling its host to just go for it, since cutting off toxic ties doesn't hurt the host, but it sure drains the life out of others. He thought he was getting a house in Beak Town. He realized the reward was just a worthless voucher since the land hadn't even been cleared yet, so he wasn't exactly thrilled. Seeing the woman pointing her finger in his face again, he grabbed her hand, redirected it to her own face, and told the couple to keep each other on a leash. "Don't show your faces in front of me again, you're ruining my view." A while later, while he was walking down a muddy rural road, a car zoomed past, purposely driving close enough to splash mud all over Shangwang. He tried to block it with his hands, but there was no avoiding getting dirty. After driving a bit further, the car stopped. The big shot inside rolled down the window. He pretended to just now realize who it was and offered a fake apology without an ounce of sincerity. He claimed he was in a rush to the construction bureau and didn't notice him, so oops, sorry for getting you all dirty. Without even being asked, he started flexing that he's now the lead contractor for the #1 urban development project. He's in charge of all the road construction in this town. So he's way too busy to give our boy a proper greeting. As he said that, he smirked and mocked the protagonist, saying if he still couldn't find a job, he could come back and haul bricks for him. This kind cousin wouldn't treat him too badly. Shangwang's expression darkened as he realized why the road quality was so trash. His uncle's side really did produce a top-tier fraud. Watching Lu Deitai drive off with a piercing gaze, he made up his mind to get rid of this pest for the sake of the people. Shortly after, Shang Wang was welcomed warmly by the head of the town's construction bureau, who even invited him over for tea whenever he was free. Leaving the bureau, he immediately got a system notification, rewarding him with 100 apartments for his contribution to the hometown. The protagonist's jaw dropped after reading the notification, asking for confirmation on that number. The system replied, 100 units? Is that too little for you? That reward is based on your performance, host. He quickly explained he wasn't complaining, just feeling overwhelmed, as if the wealth of the entire world was slowly becoming his. At the hospital during the day, Shang Wang was peeling an apple for his mother. She couldn't help but praise how thoughtful her son was. The next second, a doctor in a lab coat walked in with 2 staff members to announce the surgery was a complete success. All her vitals are back to normal. She's cleared for discharge. Shang Wang jumped up to protest, "Doctor, are you sure about that? She just had surgery yesterday and is still under observation. How can she be discharged already? As for the hospital bills, our family will definitely pay them on time, not a single cent missing. Plus, I want the hospital to arrange a full comprehensive checkup for her." But the doctor just gave a sinister smile, insisting he'd already processed the discharge papers. Not giving him a chance to argue, he ordered the staff to start packing their things. He angrily demanded to know what the hell this guy was planning. The doctor replied, "It's written in plain English. Is it not clear enough? You're healed, so if you don't want to leave, what, are you looking to die here instead?" As tensions flared, Shang Wang grabbed the fruit knife from the table and pointed it at him. The doctor panicked, telling him to put the knife down unless he wanted him to call security and the police. His mother stepped in to stop him, telling her son, "Let's go home. I'm completely healed. It doesn't matter where I lie down. Being at home is more comfortable anyway." Shang Wang quickly supported his mother, warning her to be careful and not to tear her stitches. The doctor's face relaxed a bit. He smirked and teased, "Your mom is such a sensible woman. A good son should listen to his mother." He then looked at the staff cleaning up and ordered them to hurry, telling them not to leave any of the bad luck behind. As he walked away, Shangwang clenched his fists, his body trembling with pure rage. He told his mother to wait for his dad to pick them up while he had something to take care of first. But his mother, worried he'd get into trouble, begged him, "Don't fight them. We're just poor folks. We can't do anything against people like them." He looked at his mom with a gentle smile, telling her not to worry because he wouldn't do anything reckless. Meanwhile, inside the office of the lead doctor in charge of Xinguang's mother, the doctor was on the phone with someone, bragging about how well he'd arranged things, claiming the other guy's wife could be admitted whenever, and even insisting that a minor sprain required a 100-day hospital stay. Truly a professional scammer. The guy on the other end was a wealthy heir, who praised Dr. Li for being so attentive and efficient. The doctor chuckled, replying, "How could I not be efficient? Hong Xinguang is just a broke loser. How could he ever compare to a rich second-gen heir like you?" Hearing the doctor's pathetic bootlicking made the heir even more smug, promising to reward him with a nice dinner for taking care of his friends. After hanging up, he flicked his cigarette butt away, muttering to himself, "Xinguang actually dares to act tough on my turf." Back at the hospital, Dr. Li was busy counting the bribe money he just received, feeling like a real genius. While they were chatting, Xinguang was standing right outside the door, catching every word. Seeing a bribe wasn't surprising. These people are just total trash. He smirked and muttered, "Money can buy ghosts to push the mill. But did they really think they could pull this move in front of me?" Our boy marched straight to the dean's office and knocked, hearing an immediate invitation to enter. His arrival surprised the dean, who assumed he was just a regular patient, and started telling him to go queue up at the registration desk. The dean wasn't seeing patients, so Xinguang just pulled up a chair and dropped the bombshell that he wanted to donate an entire building to the hospital. The dean was initially dismissive, barely listening, and ready to kick him out because he was supposedly too busy. But once he processed the word donate, his eyes popped out, and he double-checked if he'd heard that right. He adjusted his glasses and started scanning our boy up and down like he was doing a value check. He asked if Xinguang had any idea how much a whole building actually costs. Privately, the dean thought this kid didn't even look like he had 2 million to his name, so what kind of donation could he possibly offer? But Xinguang just flashed a bright smile, insisting he'd done his research and it wasn't a problem. Just follow the standard procedure. Xinguang did some quick math in his head, figuring construction costs here were probably only around 1 million. Compared to the cash he had sitting in his savings account, this was basically just losing a single hair. Plus, it was a way to do something good for the public. Xinguang didn't hold back, revealing his real motive. First, to provide better facilities for actual patients. He wanted them to have a place to stay after surgery. And second, he wanted the dean to investigate the shady behavior going on in this place. The dean finally caught on, realizing the kid was here to report corruption. He shifted to a defensive tone, claiming he understood the public's frustration with bed shortages, but couldn't just entertain baseless suspicions. At this point, Xinguang laid it out, noting that he knew the dean was in a tough spot with limited resources, but there were doctors here taking bribes and harming the patients. He made it clear that this kind of behavior was absolutely unacceptable. The dean immediately stood up to argue, claiming he'd managed this place for over 10 years, and there was no way any doctor was taking bribes. He insisted they put medical ethics first and that our boy's claims were nothing but slanderous lies. Xinguang stood up as well, frustratedly recounting his mother's situation after her surgery just yesterday. She was in the middle of recovery, but was being forced to discharge by the lead doctor just to make room for the next patient. And as he knew, that other patient just had a sprain and could have easily recovered at home. The dean insisted that everything he was saying was a fabrication. He claimed that, despite the lack of equipment, they would never force a post-op patient to vacate their bed. Even if a patient wanted to leave voluntarily, the hospital would make them sign a massive waiver of liability. The more he talked, the angrier he got, practically blowing steam out of his ears. He demanded that if Xinguang was going to lie, he should at least come up with a more reasonable story. Xinguang took out his phone, telling the dean not to get so worked up and to listen to this recording first. The dean froze, and as the recording played, he immediately recognized the familiar voice of Dr. Li conspiring with someone. The content was crystal clear, mentioning the arrangements made and the trivial sprain of the patient ready to move in. The conversation even touched upon the outstanding balance Xinguang's mother had supposedly racked up. Even with the truth laid bare, the dean stubbornly protected his own, questioning if the recording was real or just some edited deepfake. Taking his phone back, Xinguang wondered if this old man was just purely naive or actually in on the whole scheme. Then he doubled down. The recording might be up for debate, but the donation building is 100% real. As he spoke, he pulled out his phone and called the construction bureau to declare his intent to donate a building to the hospital. He asked if Director Kang had time to handle the paperwork for this project. He requested the director come down to the dean's office immediately to discuss the details. Seeing Xinguang acting so serious on the phone, the dean just thought our boy was putting on a top-tier performance. He really wanted to see how long our boy could keep up this act. Observing the director's skepticism, our boy held the phone a bit further away and spoke up. Looks like the director here doesn't believe a building can just drop from the sky. You, talk to the director and explain the situation for me. He shoved the phone toward the director, urging him that a quick call wouldn't even take a few minutes of his precious time. Don't be impulsive and lose out on an entire hospital wing over a moment of pride. The director hesitantly took the phone and introduced himself as Director Liu of the county hospital. The person on the other end addressed him by name. He immediately recognized the voice as Kong Gong. After a brief chat, the director replied that he understood the situation. I'll hang up now. Now, the director looked at our boy with a completely different expression. He praised our protagonist for being so humble and cautious. The two of them sat down together. Xinguang brought up the issue of the recorded file. So, shouldn't the director give me a proper answer now? Would someone capable of donating an entire building really need to fake an audio recording like this? The director stubbornly insisted that a single file wasn't enough evidence to report a doctor. Our protagonist put on a thoughtful look, staring at the ceiling and musing that maybe one building wasn't enough to prove his point. How about 2 buildings then? Before the guy could even react, our boy stood up, ready to walk out. Before leaving, he didn't forget to remind the director that he had no other requests. He just wanted justice for the patients mistreated by incompetent staff. Thoroughly investigate the unfair practices here so that average patients actually get the treatment they deserve. The director nodded, agreeing that this was the bare minimum. As he reached the door, the director scrambled to ask for his name, but our boy just replied that he was just the son of an average farmer. Everything I do is just to protect the rights of patients struggling with hardship. So, my name really doesn't matter. If you absolutely need a name for the record, just write down Envoy of Integrity. After our boy left, the director used the internal line to demand the administrative office pull every recent patient discharge record. He wanted to see if anyone had been forced out immediately after surgery. A while later, while Dr. Li was doing rounds, a nurse came to tell him the director was waiting for him in his office. In the director's office, whatever was said, Dr. Li was now on his knees begging not to be fired. He wailed about his elderly mother, his young kids, and his unemployed wife. He couldn't afford to lose this job. Seeing him groveling, the onlookers outside were dying to know what the heck happened. The director looked at him with icy resolve, asking if he was the only one with a family to support. Do the poor patients not have families of their own? This small county hospital has no room for a fraud-living Buddha like you. The next day, at the Daitai restaurant, Li was chilling and getting a foot soak from Wangju. While they were cozy, she casually asked if, with his career blowing up, they could move to the city and buy a house soon. He confidently guaranteed that it would happen in no time. No sooner had he finished speaking than a man burst in, pointing at him, and demanding to know how he, with all his connections, could have bribed a doctor to kick his wife out of her hospital bed. He ended up getting tossed out immediately after moving his stuff in. As a result, his injury got worse, and he spent the whole night sleeping on the sofa, banned from the bedroom. Li jumped up in a panic, splashing water all over Wangju. He grabbed his phone to explain, claiming the hospital staff must not have realized they were brothers, and he'd call to clarify right now. But when the call connected, his eyes popped out. The automated system told him the number he dialed was temporarily unreachable. Back at Xinguang's house, his mom saw people hauling medical equipment inside and nervously asked if renting all this stuff cost a fortune. Afraid of stressing her out, our boy lied, saying the hospital provided it for free as compensation for Dr. Li's malpractice. He got fired by the hospital already anyway. Once you're fully recovered, they'll come pick it up, so don't worry about the cost. His mom nodded, satisfied, while our boy smugly thought to himself that he was just like Lei Feng, doing good deeds without needing the credit, feeling pretty damn handsome. But before he could even celebrate, the Daitai restaurant called his name, ready to grill him. I spent over 10,000 to get us a hospital bed, but because of you that money is all gone. His mom looks at him, totally confused, wondering what the hell this guy is rambling about. Our boy's face darkens, thinking to himself that this clown is a total idiot for snitching on himself without even being pressured. He loudly plays the victim, asking if his mom getting kicked out of the hospital while resting was actually this guy's dirty work. The guy panics and tries to backtrack, saying she wasn't kicked out, she was just recovered enough to go home. He crosses his arms, telling our boy to stop acting innocent, claiming that if it weren't for him pulling strings, the hospital would have never assigned a private nurse to his mom. Our boy flat out denies it, claiming the hospital director is a man of integrity who uncovered corruption and decided to prioritize his mom's health on his own. The guy refuses to buy this explanation and demands that our boy compensate him for the losses. He claims they've been business partners for ages and that all his best leads came through this connection, but now it's all ruined because of him. He insists that our boy needs to take full responsibility for his massive financial losses. Hong Hong Vuong absolutely refuses, calling him delusional, pointing out that he makes millions a month but is here acting like a broke loser trying to scam a poor guy. Furthermore, he argues that he only makes 5,000 yuan a month in the city, barely enough for groceries, so how could he possibly be responsible for the guy losing so much cash? The guy is fuming, steam coming out of his ears, standing there speechless for half a day. Our boy just turns around to walk his mom inside, thinking it's probably karma for all the shady stuff the guy has been doing. He intentionally says it loud enough to be heard, claiming some people are so used to using their dirty money to solve problems that they don't believe in karma anymore. The guy stands there fuming, calling him a sharp-tongued brat, convinced that a loser like Hung Vuong couldn't possibly be that powerful. It must have been a fluke. He huffs and storms off, cursing them to stay broke for the rest of their lives. Watching his back fade into the distance, our boy mutters that he's just a dumb, pathetic waste of space. As they walk, his mom nervously asks if that big shot Hang might hold a grudge and come back for revenge. Our boy confidently tells her not to worry, saying he'd love to see what that loser thinks he can do to them. On his way back, the guy passes a car, going the opposite way that looks suspiciously like Kang Gong's, but he shakes the thought off. How could a big shot like Kang Gong possibly show up in this middle-of-nowhere town? Meanwhile, at the MC's house, Kang Gong shows up with gifts in hand, thanking him for fixing the roads and building the hospital to help the local people. Terrified that the old man might spill the beans, our boy quickly explains to his mom that he happened to help Kang Gong when his car broke down on the way home, so this is just a polite thank you visit. The old man sweats bullets and quickly agrees that yes, that's exactly what happened. He thinks to himself that our boy is actually hiding his true identity even from his parents, and he's lucky he caught on to the vibe in time. Our boy leaves his mom standing in the yard, making up an excuse that he needs to handle some business with Boss Kang inside. In a quiet corner, he whispers to Kang Gong that he wants to keep a low profile while visiting home, and doesn't want people, including his own family, to know his real status. Kang Gong winks, understanding that our boy is a humble hero who doesn't need credit, and they head inside where Kang Gong confirms he's finished the tasks assigned to him, earning him a compliment from the MC for his high efficiency. On his way back, Hang the Big Shot gets a call from Boss Triu, saying he won't be handling the upcoming road construction projects anymore. He slams on the brakes in shock and yells, "What the hell are you talking about? Didn't we already have this all squared away?" He's already hired the workers, so how is he supposed to explain this to everyone? Boss Triu coldly replies that there are new architectural regulations, his crew failed the assessment, and he shouldn't blame him for it. Boss Triu, clearly annoyed, cuts him off and hangs up before he can protest, his face dark as he thinks about how he can't afford to offend Kang Gong. He's totally out of options. That night, Hang the Big Shot tracks down where Boss Triu is partying, shows up with gifts, and starts complaining about how they had a deal. He reminds him that the road construction was supposed to be his ticket to sit back and collect cash. Boss Triu just sits there with two women in his arms, saying nothing. He puts the gift on the table and offers to increase the kickback percentage from 30% to 40%. Boss Triu narrows his eyes, and the guy assumes he's read the room right, thinking the old man is just a greedy pig trying to squeeze him for more. He suggests that the qualification paperwork is just a formality anyway, so they can just fake it. He'll just find a shell company to redo the process, and it'll be like nothing ever happened, right? He promises he won't let the boss get into any trouble. Boss Triu is fuming, his blood boiling as he slams the table, stands up, and knocks all the gifts onto the floor. Who told you that qualification documents can just be faked? Does this idiot really think he can bribe him into illegal activity with a few cheap supplements? He scrambles to pick up the stuff on the ground, frantically explaining that he didn't mean it like that. He tries to say more, but is cut off by the boss shouting, asking him what he actually meant then. Does he really think he's just sitting there talking trash for fun? Wang Daitai still hasn't caught the hint, even opening his mouth to ask for a 5% cut of his profits. Old Zhao felt like he'd been hit by a truck, fuming. That is absolute nonsense. I treated you like a brother, and you're trying to destroy my livelihood? Get out of my sight before I lose it. Immediately, the security guards Old Zhao hired tossed him out, telling him to get lost and never show his face again. Rewind to the VIP lounge at a nightclub, where Old Zhao was called in for a meeting with Kang Gong and Hang Xingwang. As soon as he saw Kang Gong, he bowed obsequiously, sorry to have kept you two waiting. Looking at the MC, he clasped his hands together and bowed, thanking him profusely for building the road to make life easier for the villagers. Scanning the guy from head to toe, the MC's sharp eyes immediately pegged him as a total fraud, hiding behind a fake saintly persona. Unexpectedly, the MC dropped some sarcastic barbs that left everyone in the room stunned. Building this road isn't exactly a heroic deed. I have zero interest in the welfare of this backwater town. I just saw my parents getting old, and walking on gravel is a pain, literally. One slip, and they could break a leg. The MC's voice dropped to a low, icy register, projecting an aura that sent shivers down the listeners' spines. So let me be clear, this road better not fall apart in less than a year, got it? The CEO's face darkened, but he had to swallow his pride and hold back his rage. I mean, who's going to mess with the guy with the fat wallet? He plastered on a fake smile. How could that ever happen? Impossible. He pointed at his own chest, vowing that the construction was in his hands, and that he should rest easy. Xinguang chimed in with a grin. Exactly, leave it to him, he won't let you down. Ding. The system just dropped a 990,000 reward. Host Gaoshang has finished the road and hospital construction in just 48 hours. Total Chad move, flexing that wealth while doing good deeds for the long haul. The MC chuckled, thinking the system had been suspiciously quiet today just to drop this massive payout. A few days later, at his uncle's place, Hong Daitai was unemployed and rotting on his phone when Wang Ju started tearing into him. Is that all you know how to do? All day just playing on your phone. You won't sweep the floor, and you won't even wash the laundry. She got more agitated by the second, regretting that she didn't just pick Xinguang from the start instead of this broke, lazy fraud. Someone working in the city, like you should have actual job opportunities. His expression soured instantly as he jumped up, aggressively demanding to know what she just said. She didn't hold back, pointing her finger and calling him a total loser who couldn't even keep a meal served on a silver platter. She claimed if she were him, she would have happily groveled in front of old Zhao to get ahead. She mocked him for being a pathetic actor who played her like a fiddle. With that, Wang Ju stormed off, saying she was heading to see Xinguang since they were childhood sweethearts anyway. He clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white, cutting her off with a roar. Get back here! You shameless woman! Hong Daitai slapped her hard, shouting, You don't earn a single penny, and you have the nerve to lecture me? Looking to get put in your place? Meanwhile, at Hang Jingwang's house, his father was handed a stack of documents. Here are the regulations. You can check the details yourself. The couple stared at the papers, completely clueless about what was happening. Kong Gong led the construction team, explaining that the road project would require 1 square meter of their land. As compensation, the project team decided to build them an entirely new modern house. The couple's jaws hit the floor. Kong Gong even politely added that if they felt the compensation wasn't enough, they could negotiate for even more. The couple stood there dumbfounded. Since when was this tiny town's welfare so insane? You lose 1 square meter and get a whole new house plus a bonus? They whispered to each other that they shouldn't push their luck, as this was already way more than enough. The father couldn't hold it in and shouted for his son to come out. Hurry up! Someone wants to build us a house. A few days later, at the bus station, the MC bid farewell to his parents, heading back to the city. His mother grabbed his hand, telling him to work hard in Lingxia City, but to take care of his health. Don't kill himself for money. And they'd have a nice new home when he returned. He hugged his mom, whispering that he'd take care of himself. Take care of yourself too, Mom. It's time to go, or I'm gonna miss the bus. As he walked away, his parents stood there waving, yelling, We'll be waiting for you to come home. Hong Vuong sat quietly in the first-class lounge, scrolling on his phone to check his balance, low-key calculating if he had enough cash to jumpstart his comeback. Suddenly he heard someone calling his name, wondering why he was hanging out there. He realized it was Cao Van and thought, damn, what are the odds? Why is she here too? He kept it chill, mentioning he went back to his hometown to visit his sick mom and was just about to head back to the city. She looked guilty, blaming herself for not knowing, saying she only found out about his mom later and couldn't get leave to visit, and felt bad for not asking how she was doing. He brushed it off, saying the surgery went perfectly, and she mentioned she was on a business trip. Her company wanted her to rebrand for the Zhenxing Tung market, and after finishing up, she was heading back when she ran into him. Pure luck. She sat down next to him, low-key curious if he'd already landed a job at any company. She added that it was totally fine if he didn't want to talk about it. But our boy didn't care. He said there was nothing to hide, he just hadn't picked a company yet, and might just start his own. Deep down, he was already plotting to rent a massive building right across from his old firm and poach the best talent, just to make his trash-tier former boss cough up blood. Cao Van didn't get his master plan yet, but she offered to help if he needed connections, claiming she knew plenty of high-tier editors and directors who wouldn't break his bank. Right then, her phone buzzed, and she awkwardly excused herself to take the call. In her head, she was cursing the hell out of Hathui for blowing up her phone with over 100 missed calls. As soon as she picked up, the guy on the other end started screaming, asking if she thought she was a big shot now for ignoring his calls and demands to PK with the Jia Duke team immediately. He went on a rant about how he'd been tagging her for over half an hour. She quietly reminded him that she told him she was about to board her flight. The jerk just snapped back, "You're not on the plane yet, are you? Deal with it once you're on." She tried to explain she was literally about to board, and it was a 10-hour flight, so she couldn't just sit around. Plus, it was supposed to be her downtime. That toxic clown then lectured her, saying she's a streamer. Does she think the company pays her to just sit around and do nothing? He told her if she missed the flight, she should just stream for 10 hours at the airport until the next one, so she wouldn't mess up his precious schedule. She was fuming, retorting that she's been top-ranked for 6 months and made the company a fortune. She isn't some charity case. He got super aggressive, reminding her that her contract was still active and ironclad. Until that contract runs out, she does whatever he says. While yelling at her, he was busy flirting with an assistant serving him coffee. He told her to stop with the useless excuses. If she didn't follow orders, he was going to hit her with a massive contract breach lawsuit. Seeing Cao Van's face go pale after hanging up, Hong Vuong spoke up. That was Hathui, wasn't it? The guy on the other end heard his voice, recognized him, and started mocking them, saying he thought the two were just getting busy in bed together. Cao Van's face turned sour, and she snapped at him to stop making up trash rumors. She already sent the flight details to the company group chat as proof. Hathui just wouldn't let it go, demanding she livestream right then to prove she was at the airport and not in bed with Hong Vuong. Our boy couldn't take it anymore. He snatched the phone and barked, "Is a contract breach really all you've got? How much is the penalty? I'll pay it for her, happy now." He also warned the creep that the call was being recorded and he was ready to sue him for defamation. Hathui was shaking with rage and started screaming. "What are you acting all tough for? Can you even afford the penalty fee? Stop pretending to be some big boss." Hong Vuong couldn't be bothered to talk to a clown like him, so he just hung up, leaving the guy fuming and screaming into the void. Cao Van hesitated, asking if he was really serious about paying the breach fee for her. She wondered to herself what she did to deserve such kindness from him. She figured she was doing okay at the company. It was just Hathui being a snake, and paying the fee might just play right into his hands. She didn't have much in savings either, so she figured she'd just ride out the contract. Hong Vuong stopped her, telling her not to overthink it. He was doing this for his own gain anyway. He laid out his plan. He's launching a media firm right across from Mu Quan to wreck them, and he needed some reliable people to help him build the empire. What's a faster way to get famous than poaching the top talent from your rival's office? Cao Van stared at him in disbelief. "Wait, the startup you mentioned, you're talking about this?" Deep down, she couldn't help but wonder, just what kind of heavy hitter is this Xing Wang guy anyway? Our boy then laid out the proposal. He'd structure her salary as a profit-sharing model, with half the monthly earnings going toward her breach of contract fee. Once she clears that debt, they'd split future profits on a 70-30 basis. He's taking the short end of the stick, giving her the lion's share. Gao Wen muttered to herself, if he isn't a good guy, then who even is? Seeing her look so pensive, he couldn't help but ask, "Is the cut too low for you?" She quickly clarified that wasn't the case at all. Xing Wang waved it off, keeping it 100 with her. He told her the split is actually too generous, and he doesn't need to help her that much. Internally, she's doing the math. Most media agencies barely offer streamers 50%, and that's considered top tier. But here he is, offering her the world, and still wanting to do more. Watching her deep in thought, he couldn't help but say her name, explaining that she was the only one at Miao Chun who didn't treat him like absolute trash. "If you give me a drop of kindness, I'll return the favor with a jade treasure. That's just how I operate." Besides, he's confident in his judge of character and knows she's going to help him secure a massive bag, so he's genuinely invested in poaching her. This whole contract buyout thing is basically just him giving her an advance on her future success. Gao Wen's eyes welled up. She was moved to tears. He's literally handing her a life raft, yet he's acting like she's the one doing him a huge favor. With no reason left to refuse the protagonist, she happily accepted his offer. The next day, the duo headed straight to the offices of the Miaokun media agency. Ha Shui immediately roasted her, asking if she was actually dumb enough to believe the sweet nothings a guy whispered in bed. He taunted her, saying if the guy couldn't actually pay the breach fee, dragging him here in front of everyone would just make her look like a total clown. The protagonist's face darkened, his voice low and dripping with authority. "Cut the crap. He's here to settle Gao Wen's contract today, so hurry up and call legal, because he doesn't have time to banter with a loser." Ha Shui leaned back in his chair, smugly asking, "Do you even know how much Gao Wen is worth right now? He's convinced our boy stumbled into some dirty money. Sure, he's got cash to flash, but he can't just throw contract buyout money around like it's pocket change." He walked up to pat Xing Wang's shoulder, acting like a concerned friend, warning him that these overnight millionaires always lose their minds fast. "That dirty money you're holding is just a castle built on sand. It's gonna collapse any second." He suggested that our boy should learn some self-control. Wouldn't want him ending up in massive debt, now would we? Xing Wang swatted his grimy hand away, his tongue sharp as a blade, declaring that money is a renewable resource. The more you spend, the more you make. He doesn't need a fraud like him worrying about his finances. On the contrary, looking at his sweaty face, is he starting to get nervous that the payment is actually going through? Hashui jumped when he got called out, but tried to act tough, claiming he's not the only one who owns the company, so why would he be scared? Mockingly clutching his chest, our boy offered sincere advice. He's really worried about Hashui. It's sad to see someone with a little power get so addicted to bullying his subordinates. Hashui exploded, demanding to know what he meant, and told him not to forget he used to be nothing but a dog following his orders. With a cold glare, the protagonist warned him to remember he was a formal employee, and if he kept slandering him, he'd see him in court for defamation. He tapped the desk, reminding him that the contract has a clause. Spreading malicious rumors about former employees stays in effect even after the contract ends. If he keeps acting out, he's going to sue his sorry self right after paying the buyout. A while later, in the conference room, the admin staff pulled out the papers for both sides to sign. Gaowen was anxious and hesitated, her hands crossed as Hashui kindly reminded her not to act like a total idiot. He claimed Xing Wang just got lucky with some shady gig and that she'd regret leaving for him later. Hearing him talk trash about our boy again made her even more decisive. She signed immediately, telling him to mind his own business. His face darkened as he sneered, "When the payment hits, don't let him sign and ghost you, leaving you to clean up the wreckage." Xing Wang whipped out his phone, asking why he's in such a rush, and telling him to check the account. The money hit a minute ago. Hashui was shook, doubting that this guy could actually drop millions in one go. The protagonist sarcastically asked if he was really that slow. If he doesn't believe it, go to the finance department and check yourself. Too bored to keep talking to him, he walked to the window to look at the neighboring building, dropping some cryptic lines that had everyone confused. He praised the view from up high, noted the building next door's wasn't bad, and suddenly turned to call him Chairman Ha, saying the future is long. Taking over his entire company is just a matter of time. At the same time, the system chimed in. "Congrats, host. You finally realized the true meaning of spending money like a boss. It's simple. The more bread he burns, the more broken tier rewards he gets. Our boy has reached the peak level of buying whatever he wants without checking the price tag. Breaking a contract without even glancing at the massive penalty fee? That's a smooth 999,999 yuan bonus right there." As Xing Wang and Cao Wen stepped out of the building, they heard someone calling their names. They turned around to find it was Jan Qingqing, so they stopped to catch up with her. She asked if it was true that Cao Wen resigned, and if there'd be any chance to catch up with them in the future. While she was hesitating, Xing Wang stepped in and asked, "Why not?" Our boy pointed at the building across the street and bragged that they'd be working right there, so she could swing by the canteen and grab a free meal whenever. Before Zhang Qingqing could even process that, his phone buzzed. It was Li Yuanying, though he momentarily forgot who the heck she was. He picked up, and she mentioned his property deeds were ready for pickup, asking when he'd be swinging by. He told her he'd drop by shortly, so she gushed with excitement. Hanging up, he muttered to himself about needing to visit that villa he'd almost forgotten about, then told his squad to rest up and plan their future while he went to handle his side quest. Once he hopped in a taxi, Zhang Qingqing asked Xing Wang if he really covered those contract penalties for her. After getting the confirmation, she stood there deep in thought, muttering that you really shouldn't judge a book by its cover. To think the company errand boy is actually a secret super rich heir, this is some serious main character energy. Meanwhile, at a high-rise office, Li Yuanying was barking orders. "A VIP guest is coming. Treat him like royalty and don't you dare mess this up." The manager promised everything would be perfect and told her not to worry. He immediately gathered the whole staff in the lobby and flexed. "A VIP client buying a 300 million yuan villa is arriving soon. Everyone needs to look sharp and keep the reputation of Hongcheng real estate at a premium level, understand?" The staff shouted in unison that they were ready. He then turned to his assistant and stressed again that this was the most important client, so no errors allowed. The girl hesitated and asked if they had a photo to identify him, just in case they mixed up their guests. The manager scoffed, thinking, does a mysterious tycoon like that even need a photo? Guys like that usually love to flex. When he arrives, this place will practically shine with his aura. After working in sales for years, don't you have a refined eye for these things? He went to inspect the floor and spotted a speck of dust, screaming at his subordinates to clean it up immediately. We must provide the ultimate experience for this legendary tycoon. A while later, our boy arrived by taxi and stood before the entrance, staring at the gleaming lobby and the squad of staff lined up, thinking to himself, "Not bad, Swan Bay. The flagship brand of Hongcheng real estate really goes all out even for a regional office." Walking inside and seeing the whole staff waiting, he couldn't help but wonder who they were actually expecting. Are they waiting for some big-shot corporate CEO? Xing Wang walked right in, but the staff just stared at him, and nobody even bothered to greet him. Standing alone in the showroom, he felt confused. Why is it so huge yet completely empty? Did they all go out for lunch or something? Is this gifted villa actually just a prank? He stood in front of the model home, admiring the landscaping and the private pools, just wondering which one was technically his. Suddenly, a sales clerk approached him, politely asking what kind of unit he was looking for so she could guide him. The manager swooped in and pulled her aside, whispering aggressively about why she wasn't guarding the door like he told her. Eileen replied awkwardly, "Aren't the people who walk through the door all just customers?" The manager was fuming and ordered her to kick our boy out immediately. With the VIP arriving any second, having a peasant like him hanging around would make the guest feel like their status wasn't being respected. She thought that was a bit much, but not wanting to argue, she just let him scold her for being naive as he stormed toward our boy. As he got closer, his face twisted in disgust, muttering that the bum's entire outfit wasn't even worth 200 yuan. How dare he lurk around Swan Bay? Stop being an eyesore and blocking the path for the VIP. Get out of here right now. He started chirping about how if you're too broke to buy, don't stare and waste people's time. If you want to buy something, hurry up. Standing around doing nothing is just a waste of space. Our boy looked back, confused, and asked if he was talking to him. The manager waved at Eileen, demanding she throw this trash out already. Don't let the VIP see this kind of low-tier mess when they arrive. Xinguang shot back, annoyed. How am I supposed to know if it fits my needs if I don't look at it? The manager put his hands on his hips and scoffed, noting again that his entire wardrobe wasn't even worth 200 yuan. With land here costing over 300 bucks per square meter, do you even have the budget to be looking around? He gave you an out, but since you're dead set on acting up, don't blame anyone when things go south for you. Our boy snapped back, saying the management here is trash, calling the kettle black while acting all high and mighty. From where he's standing, the housing prices here don't look all that high to him. The guy immediately branded our boy as a loser who's just sour grapes, because he can't afford the goods. Just then, his phone rang and the voice on the other end felt strangely familiar, but before he could process it, he heard Wang Sheng telling him he wasn't qualified to view the houses, so he figured he should just take his business elsewhere. Looks like their little negotiation should just end right here. Li Wanying got all stressed out hearing that, stood up abruptly, and told him to wait a sec, saying she'd head to the store immediately because there must be some misunderstanding. She rushed over so fast she almost tripped over her own feet, thinking to herself, what kind of mess did this idiot Wang get us into? Li Wanying went out and told her driver she needed to head to the Swan Bay real estate office. Sitting in the car, she kept muttering, wondering what kind of business Wang Sheng is even running over there. Didn't she warn him to roll out the red carpet for the clients? How did he end up offending someone important? If they lose this deal, how is that clown going to take the heat? Back at the store, after getting the call from his boss, the manager turned around and started grilling Eileen for not listening to his orders. He'd told her to kick out all the non-essential trash ages ago, but she just wouldn't listen. He was convinced some wealthy tycoon must have seen this loser hanging around and got pissed off enough to report them to the higher-ups. Hong Xinguang finally realized why the guy's face looked like that earlier. He thought the manager had caught on, but turns out the guy is too thick to realize his true identity. At this point, the manager grabbed her ear, screaming at her for being a walking disaster who only knows how to ruin things. He swore that if he got fired over this, he was definitely taking her down with him. She sobbed, trying to explain that she was just doing her job, but it fell on deaf ears. Wang Sheng shoved our boy toward the exit, shouting that a broke loser like him wouldn't even have clout with the legendary king of Hongcheng. He told him to beat it so he could get back to his important business. Li Wanying walked in and shouted his name, but he was too busy yelling at Hong Xinguang to notice her, and when he tried to suck up to her, she completely ignored him and walked straight to our boy. Wang Sheng just assumed the boss was mad at him for letting a random guy hang around and wanted to deal with the problem first. The next second, Li Wanying bowed toward Heng Xinguang and introduced herself as the deputy general manager of Hongcheng Real Estate. She told him he could just call her Little Li. She then apologized for the trash service he received, blaming the manager for being blind enough to offend him, and begged for his forgiveness. She even promised to overhaul the training, so no more clients would be treated with such disrespect. Eileen finally had her lightbulb moment, realizing that Heng Xinguang was the VIP they'd been waiting for. Standing right in front of Heng Xinguang, she couldn't stop running her mouth. After all that talk, she was basically begging him to give them one more chance to make it up to him. Meanwhile, Wang Sheng's face turned ghostly pale, stammering, asking if the boss was pulling his leg. This mysterious second-gen heir is actually this low-key, wearing clothes that look like they came from a street stall? With a terrifying look, Li Wanying grilled him, asking if she hadn't warned him a dozen times never to look down on any customer. Did he think her instructions were just passing wind? Does selling a few houses make him think he's some kind of top-tier talent? She told him he doesn't need to show up to work, starting tomorrow. Hearing that, he dropped to his knees, begging her not to fire him because he's got an elderly mother to feed. He's got kids in the hospital, with massive bills to pay every single month. On top of that, rent and car payments are piling up, and he can't afford to lose this job. She didn't budge an inch, telling him he should have thought about that before acting like a jerk, and that he should go home and reflect on his life. Her store is a business, not a charity for incompetent losers. Knowing the boss wasn't changing her mind, he crawled over to Hang Xinguang, begging him to put in a good word and give him one more chance, while throwing himself under the bus. Eileen stood nearby, head bowed and shaking, waiting for the manager's fate to be sealed before her own turn came. She had no idea how this was going to play out. But out of nowhere, our boy looked at Eileen, praised her for doing a good job, and suggested she get promoted to branch manager instead. Since it was the VIP's request, Li Wanying didn't hesitate, agreeing instantly and offering to show him around the properties personally. Wang Shen couldn't believe an intern like Eileen was taking his job and started wailing, but by now, nobody cared about him at all. Hong Xinguang followed along, asking manager Li if it was too late to keep looking at houses at this hour. She said it's no problem at all, and personally offered to take him to see the mansion. By the time they walked off, Eileen was still standing there like a total NPC, completely confused about the promotion, and convinced she was just dreaming. Suddenly, the system pinged in our boy's ear, praising him for his righteous behavior and for exposing those snobs, rewarding him with a single heart point. He was annoyed, asking what the hell a single heart point is supposed to do for him. He wanted some real rewards, like cold hard cash, but the system told him not to underestimate its personal praise, as it might save his life in a critical moment. Hong Vuong thought to himself that this system is actually pretty savage. Not long after, Li Wanying brought Hong Vuong to a massive courtyard leading up to the mansion. As they walked past 2 rows of people, she introduced them as his personal security team and servants, ready to cater to his every whim during his stay. Seeing them approach, the guards and staff bowed in unison, welcoming their new master home. While walking with him, Li Wanying suggested setting up a biometric recognition system for his convenience. Shortly after, she presented the property deeds and ownership documents, inviting him to look them over. He picked up the deed but had no clue what to check, thinking to himself that for a 300 million mansion, he sure was a country bumpkin who'd never seen such luxury. With that thought, he grabbed the folder and walked straight inside, telling her to lead the way. Li Wanying was stunned, secretly thinking that rich people really are built differently, buying a 300 million mansion without even glancing at the paperwork. Still, she stayed professional, leading the way while giving him a full tour report. She explained the garden is maintained by the nation's top landscaping experts on a regular schedule. Not only that, but the interior design was curated by world-renowned masters of the craft. Watching him remain completely unfazed, she started suspecting he might be a hidden young master from some ancient wealthy dynasty. Dressing so casually just to avoid unwanted attention and kidnapping attempts. What a total Chad move. Meanwhile, Hong Vuong was lost in thought, realizing the place was honestly pretty sick. But considering his parents' taste, he thought he should probably clear some of this land to grow cabbage and corn. They'd definitely love that way more. While he was daydreaming, Li Wanying offered that if he wasn't satisfied with anything, she'd make the designers redo the whole place until it suited his taste. She added that all of it would be absolutely free of charge. Hong Vuong gave a thoughtful look and said he needed some more time to think about it. He was low-key worried that if everything was too bougie, his parents wouldn't be able to adapt to the lifestyle. The system immediately popped up, praising the host for being so thoughtful toward his parents, while staying humble despite the 300 million mansion. It rewarded him with 999 yuan and a brand new system interface. He looked at the system's transformation and asked, "Wait, you got a glow up too?" The system replied, "Obviously. The host has entered a new tax bracket, so the system has to level up alongside him." Trailing behind him, Li Wanying thought to herself, the gardens were designed by top-tier pros, and he still isn't fully satisfied? He really has the aura of a top-tier billionaire heir. She flashed a bright smile, saying her boss greatly admired the MC's cold, dominant vibe. Since he's already a king of the district at such a young age, they were waiting for him to settle in before coming to pay their respects. He brushed it off, saying, "No need to trouble your CEO, this is just some pocket change for me, don't worry about it." She forced a radiant smile, agreeing that it was only right to treat him with such respect. She added that she hoped he would continue to support their business in the future. Inside, she was screaming internally, 300 million is just pocket change to this guy? Just how insanely rich and mysterious is this dude's family? Rich people are actually the worst, she thought. After walking a bit further, they finally reached the main entrance of the mansion. Li Wanying bowed respectfully and invited our boy to step inside. At the same time, in a nearby mansion, a girl asked her butler, Zhang, who the person was that bought the neighboring estate. He replied that it was just a young guy in his 20s. She turned around, shocked, and when the butler asked if she wanted to look into his background, she paused. She quickly turned away, deciding it wasn't necessary. Anyone who can drop 300 million on a mansion just like that is definitely not someone to be trifled with. If we investigate him and he finds out, it's going to cause major drama. Instead, she told the butler to pick out a high-end gift so she could go over and formally introduce herself. The butler bowed, accepted the order, and immediately went to prep the gift. The grand opening of Dakim Media, owned by Hang Hung Vuong, was popping off with fireworks and celebrations everywhere. Our boy stepped up and told everyone to give a massive round of applause for director Cao Van. She's been the real MVP, grinding for the past 3 months to build the company from scratch. The beauties in the room cheered, promising they wouldn't waste her mentorship and would pay her back for all that hard work. 3 months ago, Cao Van was straight up confused, pointing at herself and asking if her only job wasn't just to livestream. Hung Vuong, sitting in the big boss chair, analyzed the situation. The company was short-staffed and needed to go hard on recruiting and training newbies. He handed the training duties to Cao Van, promising her a sweet 50% commission on everything the new recruits pull in. She hesitated, asking if that wasn't a bit too generous for her. Hung Vuong insisted that to him, she was the true founding legend of the company. She earned every single cent of it. Without her doing the heavy lifting, he couldn't have managed this empire alone. He told her that once the company was running smoothly, she could step into the spotlight and stream if she wanted. He wouldn't stop her. She stood her ground, saying she preferred the life behind the scenes. In the building across the street, Ha Thui was scrolling through his phone and saw Dakim Media's account go live. He swiped through their list of streamers and realized they all had massive engagement and thousands of fans already. He scoffed salty that they managed to sign so many talented streamers. He laughed, wondering what century they were living in, thinking they could just launch a startup out of nowhere. Was building a media company supposed to be that easy? How did this Dakim Media think they could throw hands with his mighty Mu Quan Group? Just then, another guy walked into the CEO's office, looking annoyed as he started questioning things. He asked what was up with this Dakim Media opening right across from them. Were they trying to start a rivalry or something? Ha Thui jumped up to give his cousin the seat, asking how his sister-in-law was doing. Did they have a fun vacation? He was trying to figure out how to share the burden with his boss. With a dark look, the cousin told him to handle it the old-fashioned way and show these newbies who the real kings of the live streaming industry were. Ha Thui acted like a trained dog, practically barking yes sir to show he understood the assignment. Elsewhere, our boy was busy checking out garden design blueprints, looking less than impressed. He thought these high-profile designers were all style and no substance. None of the 3 or 4 drafts he got were good enough. He decided his 300 million villa needed to be high-key luxurious while still having that creative drip. Just then, there was a knock at the door. After the boss gave the green light, Cao Van rushed in looking stressed, reporting that all their streamers were being PK challenged by Mu Quan Media. She quickly shoved her phone in Hung Vuong's face to show him the chaos in the workgroup chat. The streamers were panicking, worried that if they didn't accept the PKs, they'd lose their fan base. But if they lost the PKs, they'd have to pay the Mu Quan side compensation. It felt like they were being targeted. Hung Vuong stayed chill, pointing out that this was just Mu Quan's classic toxic playbook. Imagine having 1 million fans and bullying newbies with barely a dozen. Talk about a total low-life move. He figured they wanted to make a huge scene, crush the smaller streamers, and use their simps to trash talk and prove they were still the big dogs in the industry. Too bad for them. They picked the wrong main character to mess with. He thought it through. He realized that PK battles were basically just a goldmine for revenue, right? He told the streamers to accept every single challenge sent their way. Cao Van looked suspicious, wondering if he was planning to drop his own cash to carry the newbies to victory. He wiped his nose, realizing he might have been flexing his infinite money persona a bit too hard just now. Cao Van couldn't stop thinking about her own PK battle earlier, wondering if the account that dumped all those gifts on her was actually Hung Vuong. The protagonist acted like a true sage, claiming money is only money if you actually spend it. Otherwise, it's just a boring number on a screen. She argued that they should still be frugal, since half the gift money just goes back to the platform anyway. She said this because she suspected he'd already spent tens of millions on her contract and that previous PK battle. Even with all his wealth, she felt he shouldn't be burning through cash like that. But he was firm. Life is short, and you can't take your bank account to the grave, so why bother hoarding it? Besides, I'm not just throwing money around. This is what you call a strategic investment. He locked his fingers together and argued that our company lacks hype, and a high-stakes PK like this is exactly what we need to skyrocket our brand overnight. This will trigger the audience's curiosity, driving them straight to our doorstep. On top of that, he encouraged her to have more confidence in her ability to train new talent. As long as people flood into our live streams, we must do whatever it takes to keep them hooked. Closing the topic, he told her to rest easy, promising he would help her secure a steady cash flow. Gawen finally had a light bulb moment, realizing that a pro player's vision is just different. They already spent hundreds of millions, so why cry over a few extra million? Besides, he used to be the operator for Mayo Quan, so her marketing strategies were honestly no match for his. Since she already trusted him, she should just fully commit to his strategy. A while later, Gawain returned to the streamer's lounge, where everyone immediately swarmed her with questions. What are we supposed to do now? If we accept the challenge, we're definitely going to get crushed. With a stone-cold expression, she gave the order, accept the challenge. The Da Kim media team whipped out their phones to monitor the PK against the Mayo Quan conglomerate. On the opponent's side, rockets were already raining down on their streamers. They kept showering their fans with thanks for the gifts. On our side, we were stuck with measly fireworks and cheap, worthless gifts. The protagonist frowned hard as he scanned the chat in the internal company group. Big media outlets were already spreading the word about the Da Kim versus Mayo Quan showdown. Everyone was saying Da Kim was just a tiny egg trying to smash a boulder. Some haters even maliciously commented that since Da Kim was just copying Mayo Quan's business model, they had zero originality, just a bunch of clowns playing copycat. Fans were going wild, calling the Da Kim side straight-up delusional. Others were grabbing popcorn, eagerly waiting for the Mayo Quan media mogul to school these wannabe clowns. The protagonist didn't give a damn about those comments. He was too busy debating whether his villa's interior should be sandalwood or a vintage French style. Just then, Gawain walked in to report that their PK stats were getting absolutely demolished. Clearly, the opponents came prepared. She added that all our accounts were fully loaded and waiting for his signal. He calmly replied that there was no need to rush, telling them to let the other side exhaust themselves. Once the popularity peaked, we'd launch our attack for a massive harvest. Gawain realized he was right, admitting she had been way too anxious. At this moment, Hung Vuong told her to reassure the streamers to stay chill and not stress over winning or losing. Just do their best and the rewards would follow. She immediately saluted like a soldier and replied, "Understood." Over at Mayo Quan, Hathui was popping champagne to celebrate, declaring the victory was in the bag and they should start partying. His expression was grim. He felt that losing Gawain didn't matter, as they were still raking in millions in revenue. His cousin, however, felt that beating a small startup like Da Kim wasn't even worth celebrating. To him, it was just a foregone conclusion. Deep down, he was still salty about losing Gawain. Even though he'd squeezed tens of millions in contract penalties out of her, losing such a top-tier asset still felt like letting a massive fish slip through his fingers. Just then, he received a message from her. She reminded him that Gawain used to be Mayo Quan's person, and hearing she paid the penalty just to leave and start a rival company meant she must have been planning this from the start. After reading the text, his face turned even uglier. He interrogated Thuy on why he didn't report that Gawain had joined Da Kim. He scratched his head, mentally telling himself he couldn't let his cousin think he was useless. He immediately started trashing Gawain, claiming she slept with big spenders to get millions in donations and just wanted to climb to the top as a boss. His cousin, clearly annoyed, warned him to keep control of the situation and insisted they must win this PK at all costs. Just then, someone ran in, panicked, shouting that it was over. All 10 Da Kim live rooms were suddenly being spammed with a massive amount of rockets and airships. Hathi's face paled as he asked, "No way, is this real? Didn't they only send them to one room last time? Are they really sending them to all 10 rooms at once this time? Where on earth did they get that much money?" He started bluffing again, telling his cousin not to worry. "Our revenue has officially hit the 30 million mark. Even if the other side has some big shot whale, there's no way they're dropping that much cash all at once for a streamer." He barked an order with a serious tone, warning them not to even think about losing. He stammered back, "Don't worry, cousin, leave it to me." Before he could even finish, the other guy shoved the monitor into their faces, screaming that the other side was spamming gifts again. Watching the rockets flood the screen, he growled, "He shui, crush them for me right now." Over at Dakin Media, Gawain couldn't even hide her shock, jaw hitting the floor, as she watched our boy fire off rocket after rocket without a care for the cost. Truth is, our boy was only looking at the system's rebate stats. The more he spent, the crazier the cashback rewards became. 5 million here, 88.8 million yuan there, with his account balance just ticking up endlessly. She couldn't help but ask, "Isn't winning already enough? Why do you keep throwing away so much money?" By now, she could clearly tell the rival streamer had been steamrolled so hard their PK bar had basically vanished from existence. Shang Wang is currently using the account handle, "I help the underdog in times of trouble." The name hasn't changed, but the numbers flashing on the screen are way beyond what any normal rich heir could flex. Right now, our protagonist has already rained down over 5,000 rockets. His fingers didn't stop dancing across the screen as he's nonchalantly asked, "What's wrong? These people are just sheltered losers. We're here to show them what real wealth looks like." Gawain thought to herself, "You call this being sheltered?" While she was still dazed by the chaos, the boss suddenly called her name, and she snapped to attention, chirping, "Yes, sir." He stood up to leave, muttering that their only goal is to make the opposition feel like they're staring at an unmovable mountain. She bowed her head and replied, "Understood." Before walking off, he told her to go boost everyone's morale and make sure the Miaokun crew gets their names changed ASAP. As soon as she left, he pulled out his tablet to look at his dream house. No mahogany, no French vintage aesthetics. He just loved the neon, multicolored vibe on his screen. Right after, he started auditing his account balance, salivating over every single digit. He licked his lips, realizing he had banked over 1 billion yuan, and sighed that the system was right. The more you spend, the more you make. Back at the rival media office, the CEO couldn't sit still, ordering everyone to dig up every piece of dirt on Dakin Media and report back to her within the hour. The reporters and media hacks scrambled to grab their gear, rushing to Dakin Media in a desperate bid for the first scoop or an interview to fuel their clickbait headlines, which they had already drafted. Something like "Shake the Tree to Wake the Monkey," the downfall of old media. At the streaming platform's HQ, the top brass was stunned. A miracle gain of 2 million followers in a single night. This was a massive breakout, so he immediately ordered his team to reach out. He's handling these negotiations personally. Meanwhile, the streamers at Dakin Media were showering their audience with gratitude, thanking them for the massive support. As soon as the stream ended, everyone swarmed our boy, fangirling and flexing their excitement. She couldn't believe they actually took down a heavyweight opponent like Wang Shanwang. Honestly, she was shaking in her boots when the whole thing started. Shang Wang coolly announced that today's roses would be split according to their signed contracts. Everyone cheered, praising him for being such a legendary whale. Someone couldn't help but cry out, asking heaven how much money that actually was, never dreaming they'd become rich overnight. The system chimed in, "Host is too generous, sharing the loot with the crew," and it actually acted like it was tearing up. Bonus reward, 500 yuan. Xiang Wang rolled his eyes and cursed the system, telling it that its bipolar reward system was going to give him a heart attack. Meanwhile, the He brothers were grinding their teeth, reading the viral comments blowing up on social media. People were begging to sign with Dakin Media. Does the company still have openings? They just dropped 500 million in revenue in just a few hours. That's a number people only dream about. It was a total, absolute blowout. The boss definitely burned a fortune, but it was worth it. 2 million new followers in one night. Are you kidding me? He couldn't stop scrolling, obsessed with reading every single comment. The internet trolls were all over it, claiming Dakin Media must have poured a ridiculous amount of money into this marketing stunt. Most companies would have skimmed a huge percentage off the streamers to cover their own overhead. But this company? They didn't touch a single cent of their employees' cut. People are even dragging Meoquan Entertainment's name through the mud, asking why these guys got absolutely cooked this time. The CEO's face turned grim, and his subordinate rushed in, panicking and asking if they needed a rebrand. The Da Kim side has been using an army of accounts to spam attack them, demanding a name change. The tension in the room could be cut with a knife. The cousin slapped Hathui so hard he face-planted, roaring at him. That 500 million was the first investment, and this is how he blew it. If he hadn't been so cocky and underestimated the competition, would Miaokwan Media be the neighborhood laughingstock right now? This is basically spitting on their reputation and grinding it into the dirt. He crawled off the floor, still trying to make pathetic excuses. Didn't we also manage to bring in a huge chunk of revenue, though? The cousin's expression became even more revolting. He dared to talk back, and the cousin told him to say that one more time if he wanted to lose his teeth. Looking at the screen with his cringy, low-tier streamers, the cousin fumed, muttering that if Cao Fang were still here, they would have pocketed at least 100 million out of that 500 million haul. The more he thought about it, the more he lost his cool, clutching his head and sulking over the 500 million, convinced some anonymous billionaire was just backing Cao Van. If they hadn't burned bridges with her, wouldn't a slice of that pie belong to them? Hathui stood up and argued back, claiming it was impossible because the male lead was just a total broke loser back then. Before he could even finish, the cousin shut him down with a lecture on how the world works. Luck turns like a river. He was just too blind to see the guy was a secret ultra-rich boss playing at being poor. He then exposed how Hathui treated Cao Van, forcing her into awkward overtime until she quit. Is that how you treat a literal gold mine? He still had the audacity to mutter that he thought the cousin implicitly gave him the green light to do it. The cousin snapped, his rage hitting boiling point, and he kicked the loser out of the office. Across the way, Cao Van grabbed Hung Vuong's arm, worriedly asking, "Spending that much money, are you really going to be okay?" She did the quick math. Spending 500 million might bring 180 million back to the company coffers, while the rest went to the room hosts. But he just smiled and replied, this really wasn't that much, causing her to shriek in disbelief. He calls nearly 400 million nothing? The world of the ultra-rich is truly something she can't even begin to wrap her head around. Meanwhile, Hung Vuong was doing some real-deal big-brain math. Out of that 400 million, he only actually spent 200 million. The rest was just viewers topping up and donating, which brought back 100 million. We'll need those resources later anyway, so when you break it down, we only really spent about 100 million. Cao Van broke into a cold sweat. She never expected him to think in such a high-level way. She never thought she'd hear Hung Vuong casually say that 200 million is basically pocket change. Seeing her speechless, he explained, "Don't you see it? If you want to push a top-tier livestream channel, it takes massive amounts of time and capital. We managed to pull it off in just a single night. This money was a damn good investment." He then thanked her sincerely for all the hard work she's put into training the newbies so they could shine today. On top of that, he dropped some wisdom about how reputation attracts its own momentum, and eventually, the media will come crawling to us. Public opinion is already shifting toward the positive. From here on out, their path is clear. He's even planning to invest in reality shows and short films, not just staying stuck in the livestream niche. As he was talking, he got a call from the interior design firm he'd just contacted. After hanging up, he patted Cao Van on the shoulder and told her she was in charge here. He's busy going to renovate his new place. Before he left, he reminded her not to be stingy with the bonuses, telling her to count herself in too, as a lead trainer commission. He waved her off, firm in his philosophy that happy people create more profit, and he's got no time for shady tactics. Cao Van didn't even try to argue, just obediently replied, "Got it." Outside the Swanbei villa, Zhang the butler looked around, scanning the area. Inside, the construction crew was busy redecorating the place exactly how the boss wanted. Nanjung was fully locked in, directing the team, completely unaware someone was creeping up behind him. He turned around, and Butler Zhang quickly introduced himself, saying he lived next door, heard about the new neighbor, and wanted to drop by with a few company gifts, hoping he wouldn't mind. Nanjung looked at him, silently impressed. This guy really had that refined, high-class butler vibe straight out of a TV drama. He definitely needs to hire someone like this later to manage his own estate. Shang Wang hurriedly took off his gloves and wiped the dust off Ai, explaining that the construction site was messy and he didn't want his sweaty, dirty self to be an eyesore. The butler politely held out the gift bag, apologizing for showing up unannounced and causing trouble, hoping they could look out for each other in the future. Our boy took the gift, his favorability meter hitting 999 points instantly, thinking to himself that this is definitely a high-class neighborhood if even the butler is this humble. He noticed the branding on the bag. Not only was it heavy, but it was also gold-plated. He reached out to shake the butler's hand to thank him. What a polite guy. Once he finishes up here, he'll personally head over to pay a visit and bring a return gift. Time flew by, and before he knew it, the sun was at its peak. While wiping sweat in a corner, our lead got a call from a college friend about a class reunion this weekend, inviting him to join if he's free. Plus, the campus goddess he used to simp for back in the day is going to be there too. The lead's face darkened. He knew exactly what these reunions were for. It's just a flex-off. He's always been the poorest guy in the class. Every single time, he gets roasted for being a broke loser. They probably only called him to make him the punching bag for their jokes again. Yet he just flashed a sinister smile and agreed to go. His friend was surprised he agreed so fast, assuming he was only coming for the goddess. At the same time, at Bing Zhaozhao's villa, Butler Zhang reported back. The neighbor is a friendly, polite guy who didn't look down on him just because he's a servant. He even politely took off his gloves and wiped his sweat before accepting the gift, and he's actually out there doing manual labor with the workers. A guy like that is definitely worth getting to know. She replied softly, "I see." Hearing noise at the door, Bing Zhaozhao looked annoyed, assuming he was back. She turned around with her arms crossed, snapping, "How many times do I have to tell you not to bring strangers into my space?" The guy didn't look happy, telling her to check her attitude, and adding that he's done playing around and will tone it down from now on. He gestured to KK, saying she's her future sister-in-law, so she should be more polite. Munka started trembling, tears welling up, asking Bing if she did something to offend her. She couldn't be bothered to deal with her, so she just turned to walk away. KK pulled her hand away, pretending to be the victim, suggesting she should just leave so she doesn't cause a rift between the siblings. But he grabbed her shoulders, telling her that Bing Zhaozhao has always been eccentric, so just ignore her. She was already in a bad mood, but then he shouted from behind, "Grandpa demanded marriage to inherit the fortune, so don't tell me you're salty because he has a girlfriend?" She glared at her loser brother and retorted, "I'm only 20. Marriage is light years away from me. I'm not going to throw my life away by marrying some random person just for a quick payout. So, there's no need for him to put on a show in front of her. Besides, not just any stray dog or cat can walk through the gates of the Bing estate. If he wants to marry Mengke, he'd better see if Grandpa even approves." Cao Wen dropped Xiang Wang off at the meeting point and drove away, saying she had a delivery for a client and would come back for him later. The lead waved her off. Once she was gone, he straightened his clothes, feeling like he was about to make some serious bank today. From a distance, he could see his friends waiting. A girl spotted him and pointed, "Wait, isn't that Xiang Wang?" She noticed he arrived in a Mercedes worth at least 8 million yuan on the market. Where did a broke guy like him get that kind of money? A guy standing nearby guessed he must be a sugar baby for some rich cougar to be living this well. Some even figured he only came to the reunion because he finally had a sugar mommy backing him up. They even started speculating that his sugar mommy must be old and ugly to settle for a guy like Xiang Wang. They kept running their mouths without a shred of respect. Xiang Wang walked up to them, unbothered, and asked, "Oh, are you guys just admiring me? Are you jealous because you can't land a sugar mommy of your own?" Wang Dada covered her mouth and laughed, asking if he really needed a rich benefactor to survive. He didn't hold back and exposed how she's just a side chick who stole someone else's husband and kicked the ex-wife out just to become the factory manager's wife. Hearing that, she was fuming, smoke literally coming out of her ears as she pointed a finger at him. "What kind of nonsense are you spewing?" Right on cue, a sleek, shiny car pulled up right in front of them. Meng Shi was escorted out by the young master of the Ping family, who didn't forget to tell his darling to watch her step. She immediately grabbed everyone's attention from afar, with people literally screaming that the goddess had arrived. Talk about main character energy. She even has a personal bodyguard/chauffeur. Someone with sharp eyes recognized the guy walking with her as young Master Ping, a major high-profile player who's always in the headlines. A guy nudged Hang Xinguang, asking if he only showed up to the reunion because the goddess was coming, and why wasn't he going over to say hi? Is it because the sugar mama at home keeps you on such a tight leash? Hearing that, he walked up to greet Meng Shi, politely calling her goddess. She gave a stiff, awkward smile and greeted him back. Now, looking back at his buddy, he joked that his sugar mama keeps him under control, so a simple greeting is all he gets. "You guys stay here and keep simping for her. I'm going inside to grab a seat first." Our boy walked away, and the group behind him started whispering about how a toad thinks he can eat swan meat. Who does he think he is to dream about Meng Shi, acting all high and mighty without looking in a mirror to see if he even comes close to young Master Ping? At this point, the guy waved goodbye to Meng Shi, telling her to call him for a ride when she's done eating. Knowing he's a busy man, she didn't hold him back, just reminded him to drive safe. As soon as young Master Ping's car disappeared, Wang Dada started fangirling over their lovey-dovey relationship, demanding a wedding invite when the time comes. Meng Shi smiled, saying she told him he didn't need to come, but he insisted on escorting her anyway. With that out of the way, she suggested everyone head inside. Before this, Hang Xinguang's classmates were already drinking and partying in the hotel's private room. After eating for a bit, he sat to one side and started messing with his phone. Zhang Qi, sitting nearby, lit a cigarette and complained about the economic slump, saying he could only manage to buy a few plots of land across from City Hall. A few friends sitting nearby shouted, "No way, a building across from City Hall costs tens of millions of yuan." He laughed triumphantly, bragging, "Yeah, something like that." In another corner, the girls were gossiping, with Meng Shi claiming she has no real talent. After getting married, she's just going to settle down and be a housewife. That's something she's been wishing for a long time. The other friends flattered her, saying she's so humble for a future wealthy socialite. Someone noticed a diamond ring on her finger, estimating that rock to be at least 5 carats. Others figured it was obvious, considering she's marrying young Master Ping. Why be jealous? Stepping into a prestigious family like that is like taking an elevator to the top. On the surface, she acts friendly, but deep down, she looks down on these broke friends. Just keep worshipping her. On our boy's side, his phone buzzed with a message from Kong Gong. He scolded himself for being so forgetful lately. He even forgot he donated a building to the hospital. While he was busy replying, a friend called him out. "Why are you so quiet, just playing on your phone the whole time?" Someone chimed in, "It's not because the goddess is getting married and you're too sad to talk, is it?" Hang Xinguang didn't stop tapping, replying while scrolling that there's nothing to be sad about. The goddess is getting hitched, so he's actually happy and wishing her the best. The other guy sneered, "With a salary of 5,000 yuan, what could you possibly be busy with? Working overtime on the weekend to catch up on chores, are we?" Hang Xinguang stood up and pocketed his phone, admitting he was indeed working overtime, doing a few things to make the world a better place. His classmates started mocking him, asking if his brain stopped working after just 2 years of being in the workforce. "How old are you to still be acting like an edgy teen? Maybe you should go work construction. The class monitor is still hiring laborers. If you work hard enough, you might earn more than 5,000 a month." Seeing the dark look on Hang Xinguang's face, they backtracked. "Just a joke, man. But seriously, carrying bricks actually pays better than your job." With a grim look, he replied in a low voice, "You guys have said enough," unwilling to waste more breath on them. He shoved his hands in his pockets and left, saying his house was under renovation and the construction crew didn't get his vision, so he had to go supervise personally. "You guys keep eating." Some toxic loser piped up. The food just got served. Why are you in such a rush to leave? He kept digging. Where do you even live? Is it near Tangcorp's property? If it is, you better invite everyone over for a housewarming party once you've finished the renovations, bro. Inside his head, our guy realized the MC was trying to dip, and he clearly hadn't finished his pathetic little roast yet. Hong Xingwang kept a fake humble smile and replied, my place is tiny. It definitely can't fit all of you guys. Another buddy chimed in with the shade. Right, after 2 years of slaving away, barely eating or dressing yourself, you probably only bought a place the size of a bathroom in Tangcorp's district. Definitely can't hold all of us. Our guy played along. True, my place is super small, definitely not big enough to house a group of golden statues like you guys. Suddenly, Wang Data blocked the door, refusing to let him leave. You trying to bail early just to skip out on the bill? He raised an eyebrow and deadpanned. Just post the receipt in the group chat. I'll transfer the full amount right now. She loudly reminded him, this is the Shenwei Hotel, one of the most high-end spots in the city. A single bottle of wine costs thousands. It's not some street food stall, so stop acting like it's cheap. Who's gonna pay if you just ghost the group chat later? He immediately tapped his phone, transferred 10,000 yuan, and asked, is this enough for now? If it's not, we'll settle the rest when the final bill comes out. The class monitor's phone pinged with the 10,000 yuan notification, but she just laughed at his desperate need to save face. Some people really try so hard, they end up dying for nothing. Who knows how many years of savings he scraped together just to flex like this today. Wang Dada tried to advise him, it's not that deep, man. You don't have to pretend in front of us. Meng Shi stood up, playing the saint, and told him to take his money back, offering to cover the bill for him instead. Everyone started glazing her. Our goddess is so beautiful, kind, and generous, dropping thousands without even blinking. I bet he thinks she's actually interested in him now. In reality, Meng Shi was just putting on a performance to look like the main character. His expression darkened as a specific memory hit him. He'd once heard her tell a friend that she only saw him as a pathetic simp and a tool to do her homework for her. She said she wouldn't even look at him otherwise. All she had to do was smile and give him a tiny favor, and he'd be wagging his tail like a puppy all day. She concluded that someone like him wasn't even worth the dirt on her shoes. Honestly, if he hadn't overheard that, he probably would have been moved to tears by her kindness right now. Still keeping a smile on his face, he insisted that he wasn't short on cash and didn't need her to pay his tab. The girls nearby couldn't help but whisper, what a waste of her kindness. Someone else theorized, maybe he still likes her and is too prideful to accept her money because he's afraid of being one tier below her. She put on her best innocent face, I know he has it really hard. Guys, don't say that. It's just that I'm worried about his impulsive personality. But before she could finish, he cut her off with a cold question. So, because people call you a goddess, you think you're some kind of bodhisattva saving the masses now? I gave you all some respect earlier, because we used to be classmates. But looking at you guys now, seems like none of you want to keep your dignity. He looked at the server nearby and declared he would be settling the entire bill for the meal. The class monitor waved her gold card and said he wasn't even qualified to use the VIP room, let alone pay for it. Hong Xingwang crossed his arms and told the server to go get the manager. The guy refused, saying the boss was busy and only real VIP guests could get an audience. The class monitor jumped in. Just tell him a VIP guest is here to talk, that's enough. The waiter had no choice and headed off to fetch the boss. That guy stared at him and sneered, thinking to himself that our boy was just digging his own grave. A moment later, an imposing man appeared. He asked, to eat in the VIP room, do you need a VIP card to settle the bill? The boss confirmed it, and he immediately ordered him to open one for him. The group erupted in laughter. You think the Shenwei VIP card is free? You need to have spent at least 500,000 yuan here just to qualify for one. Guess he's finally out of luck for his little stunt today. They were literally dying of laughter. Probably never been to a place like this. He doesn't know a thing. Hong Xingwang couldn't help but ask, so 500,000 yuan is the threshold for the card. He needed a specific number so he could finally clear this trash out of his sight. The boss explained that it wasn't just about the money here. We treat people as our core value, so we don't just kick guests out for no reason. Mocking, boisterous laughter filled the room. Someone thought our boy was watching too many movies and started hallucinating he was the main character of a cultivation epic. But in reality, that's just impossible. Without missing a beat, our lead drops a cool 10 million on the table. The owner's eyes go wider than a dinner plate, instinctively repeating the number back in total shock. Sitting down at the table alone, he declares he doesn't need a VIP card. He's dropping 10 million just to buy some peace and quiet for a meal. The owner falls into deep thought, scanning Hong Vuong from head to toe, noticing his fit doesn't exactly scream billionaire. Plus, who drops 10 million on a single lunch? After thinking it over, he walks over and whispers that even if he wants to start trouble, there's a limit to the stupidity. Too lazy to argue, our boy just pulls out his card and tells him to run it. Seeing the card Hong Hung Vuong pulls out, Vuong Dada scoffs and mocks him. If you're going to fake it, at least make it look real. You need a black card for that, not whatever trash tier plastic you're holding. You think you can pay 10 million with that? The crowd starts piling on with the commentary. For real, that card is so scratched and beat up, it looks like he found it in a dumpster. I'd believe it had 10 bucks on it maybe. The others keep chirping away. They were supposedly too busy to eat earlier, but now they're just hanging around to watch the show. Where is the logic in that, honestly? Are they so broke and miserable that they've lost their minds? At the same time, the staff tries to run the payment, but it's looking like a fail. The onlookers think our boy is just a walking circus act now. They're basically considering this a full-blown disturbance in their hotel. They're already bored stiff watching this guy try to LARP as a high roller. Just as the thought finishes, the card machine dings with a successful transaction. Not just the owner, but everyone in the room looks like they've been struck by lightning. It's absolutely wild that he could just cough up 10 million on the spot. They're questioning reality. Either they're losing their minds, or they're still stuck in a dream. Hong Hung Vuong ignores their shocked faces, turns to the owner, and asks if the bill is paid so he can finally have his quiet meal. The owner instantly pivots to a groveling, respectful tone, promising top-tier service. He immediately turns to the others and tells them to get out. Right on cue, the system pops up. The host status is officially on a different level. From a 300k meal to a 10 million flex, achievement unlocked. Treating money like mere digits. System reward, 20 million, with a friendly reminder that good food is worth the spend. The class president's face turns dark as she starts pointing fingers, asking if he's really going to kick out his own former classmates without an ounce of respect. Another girl chimes in to back her up. Exactly. A lot of us here have connections at the Tang Corporation. Aren't you worried about making enemies? Our boy takes a bite of his food and deadpans that he isn't scared of making enemies. He also calls them out, asking if their motives weren't already suspicious from the moment they invited him to this reunion. He doesn't hold back, exposing that they only brought him here to mock him, flex their own success, and feed their fragile egos, right? If they can act like that, why are they surprised when they get shut down? The girls decide to bail, throwing some petty shade on their way out. It's just one meal. We're only annoyed because of this nouveau-riche loser. He's the one who lost 10 million. Let's just go find somewhere else to hang out. Just then, a new guy steps up, loudly declaring he'll pay 10 million and $1 if it means he can kick our boy to the curb. Enter Bin Chiu, who turns to Monkey and tells her not to be scared because he's here to back her up. She leans into him, trying to act all understanding. Why did you come back? I hope I didn't ruin your plans. He drops the gentle prince act, insisting she is his top priority. The others are starstruck, realizing this is the great Bin heir. They're convinced he's their savior. This changes everything. There's no way Hong Hung Vuong is wealthier than the Bing family, right? That's just impossible. As the only grandson of the Bing lineage, he's the clear successor to the entire Bin empire. They're sure our boy is about to get his face slapped in the worst way. Our boy frowns, wondering if this guy is literally adding $1 just to be as annoying as possible. Rubbing his chin in deep thought, he finds the family name weirdly familiar, though not rare. Giving it some real thought, he remembers the butler who visited him earlier, mentioning his master shared that same last name, Bing. Seeing him stay silent, the guy starts pointing fingers and talking trash. Is that really all the pocket change you have in your account? He glances at his girlfriend, confident that the other side is starting to crack. She tries to play the peacemaker, whispering that he shouldn't be so rude since our boy is just acting out impulsively. He dotes on her, praising how she is always so considerate of others. Then Hong Hung Vuong speaks up, stating that since this is between him and his group, this outsider better be prepared for the consequences if he insists on meddling. Our boy thinks to himself, never expecting a human ATM to show up and help him farm some extra income today. Flashing his golden card, he casually announces an increase of 5 million. The restaurant owner's eyes light up, wondering if he's still dreaming. Is he really going to benefit while these two titans clash? The guy named Bin refuses to take the L, pulling out his card and bidding 15 million. Our hero doesn't hesitate and counters with 20 million. The card machine beeps, and the other side immediately matches the 20 million. Suddenly, the system grants a reward for our hero's expert application of livestream PK tactics, dropping 50 million yuan into his account. It tells him to keep the grind up. As long as he doesn't stop, the money won't stop flowing. The system promises to be his ultimate backer, so he has absolutely nothing to worry about. The system tells him to go ahead and style on this clown to his heart's content. Monkey looks at the guy with eyes full of love, thinking that marrying the right person definitely saves a lot of unnecessary trouble. Encouraged by the system, he bids 30 million yuan and declares he's bored of this kindergarten game. The crowd starts hyping it up, and the guy rushes to respond, terrified of letting our boy outshine him. Someone even taunts that young Master Bin will definitely match it. After all, What kind of status does Hong Hong Vuong even have to compare to him? To young Master Bin, 30 million is just chump change. His expression starts to crumble. After a long silence, Monkey stares at him with anticipation, praying he doesn't stop because losing face here would be a disaster. Deep down, he's actually panicking, losing his mind over how our boy just burns money. It's just a single meal. Why the hell does it cost this much? He originally planned to invest in this restaurant and talk shares with the board after swiping his card, but at 30 million, there's no way he can keep up. The employee bows and returns the card to Hong Hong Vuong with both hands. The restaurant owner grabs a mic like it's an auction house, shouting 30 million going once, 30 million going twice, asking for higher bids. Final price locked in. Looking dark and moody, he thinks to himself that these broke monkeys refuse to dig into their own pockets. Besides, Monkey isn't even part of the Bin family yet, so why should he stick his neck out for this? Trying to look cool on their behalf is a massive financial L. Hong Hong Vuong stares him down, asking if he's too scared to outbid him by just 1 yuan. Before he can respond, his phone starts buzzing, giving him an excuse to step away. Our boy tells him to hurry up. The food is about to get cold. He picks up the call, and Bin Xiu immediately demands to know why he blew 20 million yuan. Did he think he was buying shares in the hotel or something? He frowns and tells her to mind her own business, and if there's nothing else, he's hanging up. Bin Xiu softly replies that she doesn't want to manage him, but grandfather is asking, which leaves him stunned. Wait, what? He thinks to himself, even grandfather is tracking this 20 million transaction? She then reveals she's at the Thanwei Hotel and is on her way to find him, telling him to wait. The phone in his hand begins to tremble. Is she stalking him? His face turns completely pale. If this little sister catches him in the act, he's finished. Seeing him hang up, our hero urges young Master Bin to hurry up and place his bid now that he's done chatting. He tries to keep a straight face, while cursing everyone for being absolutely insane. This meal is hardly worth that kind of price tag. It's not like he's dining with a legendary Wall Street stock guru. He's officially done playing games with these clowns. Some random lackey tries to step up, warning him that he's about to embarrass the Bin family. The young master goes full rage mode, pointing fingers and screaming at the guy to shut his trap. Who the hell does this guy think he is, talking to him like that? The owner rushes over to play peacemaker, begging him to cool his jets and remember that peace brings profit. He also doubles down, swearing his establishment is built on the foundation of professional integrity. Since he's already taken Hang Hung Vuong's money, every single cent is being refunded to his account right now. With a dangerous look in his eyes, the young master demands the owner go talk to his personal assistant instead. Hong Hong Vuong mocks them with pure disdain, realizing he thought he'd reeled in a whale to farm for livestream PK points, but turns out they're just total mid. Wang Dada turns to Monkey, sweating bullets, and hisses, "Do something already, or we're all going to be a laughing stock. You don't want everyone here to get humiliated by him, do you?" She furrows her brows, looking absolutely annoyed. She snaps at the girl, "Are you actually losing your mind?" If she had known this night would turn into such a circus, she never would bothered showing up to this reunion. Suddenly, she flips the switch to full-on cringy mode, clinging to the young master's arm and cooing, "Oh, my sweet darling. Everyone is watching us. If you don't keep going, I'm going to look like a total clown." He rips his arm away, and in one swift motion, smacks her across the face, sending her crashing to the ground. "Chu Sang, you absolute gold digger. You've ruined everything and dragged me down with you. We're done. The engagement is off. Get out of my sight right now." Clutching her cheek from the physical smackdown, she trembles and cries out, "Didn't you promise we'd grow old together, Zhonglong? You're really going to throw everything away over a petty 30 million? He scoffs at her, asking if she really thinks this is some small, insignificant issue. "The Bin family reputation has been dragged through the mud because of your stupidity." He thinks back to how he once found her pretty and well-behaved, thinking their future kids would be little angels. Now he's just wondering how he could have been such a simp for her in the first place. "Don't think I'm some idiot who doesn't realize you were just chasing my status and money this whole time." Too bored to listen to them bicker any longer, Hong Hong Vuong impatiently asks the owner, "Can I finally eat my dinner in peace or what?" The owner bows low, promising to kick these losers out immediately to restore the peace for his meal. Before walking away, the young master throws one last pathetic threat over his shoulder. "You just wait. I hope you're ready to face the full wrath of the Bin family in Tang City." Just then, the door swings open and Bin Xiu struts in, ready to settle the score. "What on earth are you blabbering about?" She grabs her brother by the collar, giving him the bare minimum of big brother respect before demanding he explain himself right now. Without missing a beat, she shoves her useless brother aside and declares that the Bin family is investing 200 million into the Thanwei Hotel. The room goes dead silent, jaws dropping in unison, with some people audibly gasping in pure shock. The Bin family truly is filthy rich, But it seems the young master has zero sway compared to the eldest daughter, so who actually won here? Bin Chu puts her hands on her hips and orders the owner to clear out all the unwanted trash from the room. She has some private business to discuss with Hong Hung Vuong. The owner practically trips over himself to pull out a seat for her. The others stand there, pale-faced and trembling with curiosity. What kind of business could possibly require the high and mighty Bin daughter to personally come and negotiate with him? Is it possible that Hong Hung Vuong is actually some secret high-level tycoon in disguise? He's even managed to steal the spotlight away from the famous Miss Bin. They're all shaken to their core, silently cursing themselves for not realizing he was hiding such a massive identity. Wang Dada is drowning in regret, realizing he's loaded. If she'd known, she would have never messed with him. Meanwhile, he watches her walk away, thinking she's actually a pretty interesting character. The owner gives the signal for his staff to usher the losers out the door. Before the young master leaves, Shu glares at him, reminding him that their grandfather is waiting at home for him to answer for his pathetic performance. The crowd standing there looked super awkward, pretending like they had absolutely nothing to do with that dumpster fire. Young Master Bing just dipped without a second glance at Meng Shi, leaving her scrambling to chase him down, apologizing like crazy, and promising to behave if he would just stop walking away. Zhao Zhao decided to drop a casual warning, basically telling Miss Lin that if she wants to keep eating at the Tang Corp building, she should stop plotting against Bing. Once the NPCs were cleared out, the boss stayed smart and told his staff to rush the VIP meal to our power couple. Finally, the room returned to its peaceful, low-key vibe. Bing Zhao Zhao leaned in and asked our boy if they could finally talk like civilized people. Hong Hung Vuong bowed politely, playing the gentleman, and acting like talking to her was the highlight of his day. They both grabbed a seat at the table, and Zhao Zhao started her pitch. She claimed the gift Uncle Jiang brought was just a small token of goodwill from the Bing family, not even worth mentioning. Our boy played it cool, saying he'd already received it and would return the favor once he finished his home renovations. She pulled out a top-shelf bottle of booze and started apologizing to our protagonist. She explained that her family is well aware of Bing's trashy attitude, but they honestly can't keep him on a leash. She hoped he wouldn't hold a grudge over such a minor clown show. It turns out not everyone in the Bing family is an arrogant loser who uses their status to bully people. She poured a drink for herself, explaining that her investment wasn't about competing with him, but about keeping the recent drama on the down low to save face. Then she toasted him, saying she'd down the whole glass as a self-imposed penalty and hoping he'd let the Bing family off the hook just this once as a favor. Bing Zhao Zhao downed her drink like a champ, and Hong Hung Vuong, not wanting to be petty, finished his glass too before asking what she actually wanted to talk about. She smiled and held up 2 fingers, saying the business meeting was just a cover to clear out the useless NPCs, including her own brother. She suggested they just sit there and chat for 2 hours before heading out. Our boy's eyes went wide, and his brain was basically a giant question mark. Are we really just going to sit here and gossip? He couldn't help but think this Miss Bing was playing a game he hadn't figured out yet. When he asked her, she teased back, saying they could just sit and talk, or he could stand if he really wanted to. He hit her with a funny comeback, pointing at the food and saying he'd take her up on that offer to start eating. I mean, this meal didn't come cheap, bro. She gave him an innocent smile and told him to make himself at home, since it was his lunch break anyway. Our boy immediately started digging in, getting comfortable and eating like nobody was watching. Bing Zhao Zhao just sat there silently watching him eat without touching a single thing, making him wonder, is she really just here to watch me chew? Internally, she was actually impressed that he had a healthy appetite and wasn't picky at all. Our protagonist still felt like this girl was giving off major red flags, so he couldn't help but ask, "Do you really have nothing else to say to me?" She hesitated for a second, looking down, and said that since it was their first meeting, she didn't really know what to talk about. Our boy thought her logic checked out, but having some stomach stare at him while he was trying to grind out a meal was getting real awkward. Just then his phone rang, so he flashed the screen at her and excused himself to take the call. He picked up and heard the good news. His business was handled, and his ride was waiting downstairs. "Where are you at?" He gave her the quick location, the VIP private room. He figured Gao Wen's call came at the perfect time. Now he had an excuse to go dump some money into those 3 bedrooms and a living room he needed to unlock. A bit later, Gao Wen walked in, ready to greet our boy, but then she looked around and got super confused. "Didn't you say this was a class reunion? Why are there only 2 people here?"
Not getting the vibe?
The moment Bing Zhaoao saw her, she looked annoyed and bolted out the door, claiming she had work to do. The 2 of them were left standing there like idiots, wondering, didn't she say she'd stay for 2 hours? She really just dipped that fast? Gao Wen thought it was weird that the girl left the second she showed up. Still, Gao Wen didn't overthink it, dropped her bag, and sat down to ask the real question. Wasn't this supposed to be a class reunion? Where is everyone else? As they sat down, she asked, were the people here earlier actually your classmates? He let out a long sigh, knowing exactly what was coming. It's a long story, and it's definitely not just about what happened here. Our boy then had no shame in spilling all the tea to her. Hearing the total, Gao Wen was shook. She didn't expect the meal to cost that much bread. It was her first time eating a 230 million yuan meal. She knew it was top tier, but leaving leftovers would literally be a crime. She sighed while eating, realizing that for the ultra-rich, money is just toilet paper they throw around. Hong Xingwang told her that if she stays with him, scenes like this will just be her new normal. He then shifted gears to ask how the contract negotiations were going with the partners. Gao Wen reported that the live stream sales deal was locked in, and the commission rate was way higher than she expected. She's currently scouting some streamers to lead the sales department. I mean, it's basically the only meta that matters for live selling nowadays. Plus, she's already started sliding into the DMs of some top-tier writers. They'll be cooking up scripts for their vids to maximize that collab engagement. Our boy didn't hold back, telling her that letting her just be a regular streamer before was a massive waste of talent. Her face fell, losing all that light. She recalled the brutal comments she got back in her streaming days. Stuff like, you're just a total pick-me. People would say things like, she looks like a snack. Isn't being a streamer just a side hustle for selling your soul? What's with the attitude? She's dressed like that just to thirst trap men and other toxic trash. She's out here pleasing 10,000 guys just to lay for 10,000 more. At this, she couldn't help but feel emotional, pouring out her deepest gratitude to our boy from the bottom of her heart. If it weren't for him, her talent would have stayed buried in the dirt, thanking him for being the light that rescued her from that dark, depressing hole. Most importantly, he let her prove her actual worth instead of being a clout-chasing streamer, helping her shine in front of everyone. Clinking his wine glass, he told her this was just the prologue. Her future is going to be even brighter. They clinked glasses immediately, cheering to a legendary partnership. He then started piling food onto her plate, telling her to eat up since it cost a fortune, and she obviously didn't say no to that vibe. Suddenly, a 3 million yuan sports car pulled up to the hotel, leaving everyone looking like NPCs with their jaws on the floor. A dude who got mistaken for a car enthusiast looked salty and sourly asked, "Do I look like some broke loser who can afford a car like this?" At the same time, the guy stepped out of the car, and all the girls nearby were swooning over his protagonist energy. Just then, Gao Wen walked out, and he hit her with the, "What a coincidence." She frowned, walking toward him and asking politely, "Mr. Zhang, why are you even here?" He acted like a total simp, clinging to her side. "Why didn't you tell me you were switching jobs? But honestly, ditching me group is a W. If you're short on cash for your new company, just hit me up. Wherever you need to go, I'll be your personal chauffeur." Gao Wen gave him the cold shoulder, rejecting his generosity by saying she had errands to run. Zhang Wencheng wouldn't take the L, insisting he'd wait for her to finish so they could catch up on everything over dinner. She stayed firm, shutting him down and saying it was totally unnecessary. Watching her walk away, he thought, I was her top-tier whale back in the day. She's really not giving me any face here. His face turned ugly, especially since he'd already bragged to his bros that he'd bag her this month. Talk about a speedrun to failure. Didn't he drive this 3 million yuan flex machine here for nothing? Meanwhile, Hang Xingwang pulled up on an electric scooter and asked who that guy was. She introduced him as Zhang Wencheng, one of her former whales from Mi Group. Our boy reached out for a handshake, introducing himself as her colleague, but the guy just acted disgusted and left him hanging. Not wanting to waste any more breath, our boy told Gao Wen to hop on the bike. She happily grabbed his waist, told him to let's go, and didn't even look back at the guy as they sped off. Watching them ride away together, he stomped his feet in rage. Getting flexed on by a guy on an electric scooter was a new low. Sitting back in his car, he started dialing a number, plotting his next move. It took him forever to convince his mom to let him borrow the ride while she was on a business trip. He couldn't let it go to waste. Once the call connected, a high-pitched, fake voice came through. "Mr. Zhang, did you miss me?" He smirked. "You feeling like some crawfish tonight?" He knew a spot that's straight fire. The other end of the line was thirsty to go. "I'll come pick you up. I'm heading out now." Rush hour traffic was a total nightmare, and all the luxury cars were stuck like sitting ducks. Meanwhile, our boy and his girl were zipping through on their electric scooter, feeling like absolute geniuses for skipping the gridlock. Gao Wen sat on the back, navigating and telling him it was just one more alleyway to go. They headed to a crayfish spot because he was totally sick of eating standard rice meals. They parked up, and he ordered 2 plates of their signature garlic 13-spice crayfish. Being the hungry king he is, he threw in a bowl of noodles too. Gao Wen stopped acting prim and proper, diving in with her bare hands, even telling him, "These heads are huge, you gotta suck the juices out." Just as they were vibing, the front door swung open. The girl walking in spotted them immediately. Chu Nuonuo turned to the guy beside her and whispered, "Let's go somewhere else." She claimed the food wasn't as good as the hype, but he insisted, "This is the best spot, we aren't moving." He shoved her aside and marched right in. Seeing the two of them laughing and enjoying their date, he scowled in pure annoyance. When he tried to drag her along, Gao Wen refused, saying she was busy. Imagine rejecting a rich heir just to date a broke bottom feeder like our host. He suddenly wrapped an arm around Chu Nuonuo's waist, making her jump as she stammered his name. He made sure to flaunt it right in front of Gao Wen. He thought to himself, keep being jealous while I pull this babe and stay the top-tier sugar baby of every girl in town. But our main duo didn't even care, while Chu Nuonuo couldn't stop sneaking glances at them. She cursed in her head, thinking Gao Wen was just acting all holier than thou. If Gao Wen could latch onto this loser, then she could definitely latch onto someone from the Zhang family. Stealing Gao Wen's man would definitely boost her clout and keep her account popping. Meanwhile, Gao Wen leaned in and whispered to our host, "Zhang Wencheng is a total F-boy. Should I give Nuonuo a heads up?" He saw right through that girl's toxic motives and advised, "Everyone's got their own path. Don't waste your energy on her." Even though she wasn't thrilled, Gao Wen agreed. Their food arrived and Nuonuo started acting all cutesy, offering to peel shrimp for him. Right in the middle of their PDA, someone shouted his full name, Zhang Wencheng. "What the hell are you doing here?" Seeing the woman storming in, he panicked and tried to bolt, but she caught up, barking, "Where do you think you're going? You still owe me money, you deadbeat." She lunged forward, grabbed him by the ear, and pointed at Nuonuo. "I go on a business trip for a few days, and you're already out here itching for trouble? Who is this little trash-tier homewrecker?" He scrambled to apologize, begging for a chance to explain. In his head, he was still betting that she was a total pushover, and he could sweet-talk his way out of it. She looked at Nuonuo and yelled, "He's already got a girlfriend. Didn't you know that, you snake?" Nuonuo glanced at Gao Wen, feeling humiliated that she was getting exposed in front of her rival. The woman grabbed him by the collar and started laying into him. "I bought you cars, watches, and gave you a fat allowance every month. Is that not enough for you, you ungrateful leech? Did a dog eat your conscience or something?" Even now he had the audacity to whine, "Baby, let me explain." She didn't stop there. The sugar mama slapped Nuonuo across the face, screaming, "How does it feel to steal my man, you cheap homewrecker?" Zhang Wencheng, showing zero backbone, dropped to his knees and blamed Nuonuo for seducing him, swearing he was loyal to his sugar mama. Holding her swollen face, Nuonuo tried to stammer that it wasn't like that. It finally hit her. He wasn't a rich young master at all, just a low-life gigolo living off this woman's bank account. The sugar mama looked at him and demanded, "Are you really loyal to me?" He immediately swore on his life that he was. "I mean, how I usually treat you should be proof enough, right?" Pointing his finger at her, the woman demanded that if she really seduced him, she better start proving it right now. He immediately lunged forward and slapped her, sending her crashing to the floor. Chunuo was absolutely furious, questioning if he had finally lost his mind. He shouted, accusing her of being a psycho who kept clinging to him, constantly sending him nudes, and just being a total gold digger who wanted a free meal. He claimed today was no different, insisting she was the one who forced him to come out to dinner. Can you believe the audacity of this green tea snake? Everyone in the restaurant was staring at her now, so she tried to deny it, asking how he could possibly lie like that. She had no idea he even had a girlfriend. She was clearly the victim here. Hang Xinguang couldn't just sit back and watch this anymore, so he walked right up to them. Gao Wen was totally stunned by his move. She was silently judging him, thinking, "Didn't you just tell me not to get involved in other people's drama, yet here you are?" Talk about being a total hypocrite. By now, he had reached their table, picked up a plate of piping hot food, and the guy scoffed, asking what a broke loser like him was planning to do. Our boy didn't waste his breath. He just smashed the plate directly into the guy's face and told him, "You're done, pal." The spicy food seared his face, and he started howling in pain, clutching his eyes and screaming that he couldn't see. The sugar mommy instantly grabbed a wet wipe to clean him up, then glared at our boy and barked, "What the hell business of yours is their personal life anyway? Why are you even inserting yourself into this drama?" With a cold, menacing look that would chill anyone to the bone, he finally opened his mouth. "You two are a match made in trash heaven. You should really keep a tighter leash on your pet so he stops being an eyesore to the public." She wanted to fire back, but couldn't find the words. Deep down, she knew he was right, so she just wiped off the food while fuming and swearing she'd have our boy executed. He just picked at his ear, looking unimpressed, and dared him to try, saying he'd love to see how he planned to pull that off. Chunuo was honestly confused. Why would he risk making enemies just to stand up for her? Was she just simping too hard, or was there actually something there? Right on cue, Zhang Wencheng smashed a wine bottle against the table and brandished the jagged glass, threatening him. He promised to send him straight to the afterlife to celebrate the holidays with his ancestors. As he charged, our boy stood his ground, muttering to himself about how his years of farm life and manual labor were definitely not for nothing. With one clean kick, he sent the guy flying, then turned his attention back to the sugar mommy with a lecture. You're a high-tier sugar mommy, yet you have zero eye for quality. If you're going to keep a pathetic loser like this around, you'd be better off raising a dog. Despite being roasted to his face, she couldn't help but think to herself, damn, this guy is actually kinda hot. The guy on the floor was trembling in fear, unable to even get a word out. He didn't look much bigger than him, so how on earth did he have that kind of raw strength? Chunwo stood up and thanked him for stepping in to save her. Our boy acted cool, saying he wasn't trying to help her. He just couldn't stand the sight of trash like that. She blushed at his bluntness. It was so obvious he was just being a tsundere about helping her, right? The guy finally looked up at the woman and ordered her to call someone to take him out. She looked at him with pure disgust, agreeing that our boy was right. A dog really would be better than him. She then turned to Hang Xingwang, calling him a cutie and asking for his contact info. A moment later, Hang Xingwang and Gao Wen got ready to head out. Chunwo rushed after them, calling out, "Wait!" He looked back and asked what she wanted now. She nervously tucked her hair and offered to buy him a thank you meal, but he shot her down, and even when she tried to apologize for the previous incident, he stuck to his guns. He insisted he didn't help her on purpose. It was just an annoyance, so she didn't need to overthink it. He still had to go work overtime with Gao Wen, so he didn't have time to chit-chat. She watched their backs as they rode off on their motorbike, wondering how she missed out on such a low-key, classy guy at first. He was seriously a rare gem of a man. She convinced herself that since they were probably just friends, she still had a shot at winning him over. The restaurant was still a mess, with the owner demanding that everyone pay for the damages. Zhang Wencheng was clinging to the sugar mommy's leg, crying and begging her not to dump him. He couldn't live without her, but she had finally opened her eyes and rejected him with icy indifference. She looked at the owner and pointed out that it was all this trashy guy's fault anyway. So, the owner should just go ahead and shake him down for the cash. Then, without a second thought, she used her sharp heels to kick him away and with a cold huff, walked right past Chu Nuonuo. At that moment, his eyes shifted focus back onto Chu Nuonuo. She's a popular influencer anyway, so she's definitely got money. Thinking he's still the main character with the looks to match, he lunged toward her, calling out her name with fake-ass sentimentality. But she dodged him immediately and hit him with a cold threat. If he keeps harassing her, she's calling the cops. He slumped on the floor, trying to reach out to her, begging for a second chance. Back at the office, Gao Wen couldn't help but ask, "You were pretty quick to step in and save her at the restaurant earlier." He hit her with the classic excuse, "I just wanted to nip that loser's behavior in the bud since he's always bothering her." Gao Wen walked in with a file, smiling as she joked, "With moves like that, you've got me wanting to work for you for the rest of my life." She quickly pivoted to business, reporting that she had a new project proposal for him to look over. Handing him the documents, she explained, "Our Matrix account is popping off, but relying only on live streams is a total waste of potential." She suggested taking advantage of the short-form drama craze to have their TikTokers film a few series, which would help scout talent and boost revenue, asking for his take on it. He hit her with that nonchalant, "If you think it works, just send it," telling her to start with a pilot and that he'd cover all the costs. She thought to herself, how could she let him burn his own cash on this? She was about to say there was still budget left in the company account, but he shut her down before she could even finish. "New ventures like this are high risk, so just let me handle the investments out of pocket for now." She wondered, wouldn't using his own money just make the financial risk even crazier? Just then, Hang Xingwang had already transferred the funds, thinking you can't take your money to the grave anyway. Right on cue, the system notification chimed. The host is so willing to shoulder the company's financial burdens that the system is moved to tears. Rewarding the host with 555 million yuan. May your new business ventures skyrocket. He chuckled to himself, glad he moved fast, or he would have missed out on this sweet bonus. By now, Gowan had received the transfer, but before she could speak, he told her, "I've got some renovations at home that I need to handle personally. Stay here and finish up, but don't overwork yourself. Your health is the top priority." By the time Hang Xingwang got back to the villa, it was already late. Walking past a luxury apartment, he could hear someone screaming and kicking people out. He wondered, who's out here starting beef at this hour? At that moment, Mengshi was holding on to Ping Taihe's hand, crying and begging him. Could he really be this heartless toward her? Weren't all those promises he made about marrying her just straight-up lies? He replied with a cold voice, "You know damn well you only married me for the money, not the love. Get lost as far as you can. I'm not losing my family's stock shares just because of you." He shoved her to the ground and yelled, "Get out of here before I call security." With that, he walked away cold-blooded, leaving her sobbing on the floor. Just then, someone handed her a tissue. She looked up and saw Hang Xingwang standing right in front of her. Taking the tissue, she asked if he came by just to laugh at her situation. He told her not to overthink it, he just happened to be passing by. Obviously, she didn't buy it, shooting him a look of pure suspicion. "Are you here for business in this neighborhood?" He pointed at the workers still pulling an overtime shift, explaining, "That's the house I just bought. It's under renovation, so I came to check on the progress." She was shook. "That villa is yours?" He gave a low-key smirk, confirming it was his place. Well, he technically bought it. She started spiraling in her head. This morning he was trading blows with Ping Tai-hei like an equal, and now she finds out he owns a villa. It's only been 2 years since graduation. How did he go from a broke student to this? It didn't make any sense unless he was secretly a wealthy heir all along. There's no way a broke college kid could hit this level of success so fast. She switched gears, acting all sweet and asking if he was still mad at her. He raised an eyebrow. "Why on earth would I be mad at you?" But his eyes narrowed as he thought about something, and before he could react, she brought up the past. "Back in college, you chased me for so long, but I never once actually sat down and talked to you properly. Everyone used to roast him constantly for this exact thing. But now that he didn't hold a grudge against her for it, she was actually pretty happy." Hang Xinguang quickly dodged the topic and asked if there was some kind of misunderstanding. She was caught off guard by his attitude, but quickly clapped back that she just wanted to clear the air. He waved it off, saying that was totally unnecessary. The system chirped, detecting that the host had refused to be a simp once again. His willpower is rock solid, and his aura is looking absolute fire. The system dropped a reward of 10,000 bucks and gave the host a digital high five. Our boy thought that was way too generous, so he knew he had to keep the grind going. Seeing him keeping his distance, Mengshi shamelessly stepped up to cling to his arm, claiming she had a ton of things she wanted to talk about. She asked if he could listen to her vent like the old days. Could he please? Yanking his arm away from her, he hit her with a polite reminder, "Keep your hands to yourself, we're not that close." He gave her a soft console, but only out of respect for their past as classmates, hoping she wouldn't misinterpret his kindness for something more. Just because he was her simp in the past doesn't mean he's going to be one for eternity. The system confirmed that these words came from the bottom of the host's heart. The fact that he admitted to his former simp status had the system feeling emotional. Reward, 50,000 bucks for the host's gutsy move. He furrowed his brows and called her out. So, now that she's been dumped by Ping Tai-hei, she's crawling back to him? Does she think he's that cheap? Back in the day, he admitted he was a genuine simp who loved her, but that's ancient history. He hoped she could draw a clear line. She used to soak up his attention and use him for entertainment, and he knew it, but stayed silent because he was too obsessed with her. But now, that love is dead. He sees her as nothing more than trash on the side of the road. Every word he dropped was cold and calculated, leaving Mengshi speechless and unable to fire back. Before walking away, he gave her some friendly advice. Try being a bit more realistic, and don't think you're the main character. The system immediately announced that his walkaway animation was so smooth, it couldn't help but reward him with another 10,000 bucks. Lin Mengshi dragged her exhausted self home and flopped onto the sofa. Her eyes fluttered shut as she drifted off after a brutal day. Suddenly, her phone started blowing up. Luolua had some tea that would literally shake the foundations. She groaned and told her to just spit it out already. On the other end, Luolua kept hyping up how lucky she was. Even her spare backup plan was a total high-tier whale. At this point, she couldn't stay chill anymore. She snapped her eyes open and sat up, demanding answers from her bestie. "Explain yourself. What are you talking about?" The other end started spilling the details. "Haven't you seen the hot search about the mystery guy handing out justice? It's that legend who's been dropping massive fireworks on the live-streaming idols." Hearing this, she was still lost. She didn't even stream, so what did this have to do with her? Luolua kept playing coy and teasing her to guess who it was, which was seriously starting to tilt her. She snapped back with an attitude, telling her to stop wasting time and just say it. Make it quick, and realizing she was losing her patience, Luolua finally stopped stalling. She went straight for the jugular, the sugar daddy with the endless cash. It's none other than Hang Xinguang. She guessed he must be worth tens of billions, since he spent 4 years acting as her personal simp. Now would be the perfect time to dump Ping Tai-hei and pivot back to Hang Xinguang. Ping Tai-hei might not even inherit his family's fortune, but Hang Xinguang is a legit whale with hundreds of billions in assets. Lin Mengshi sobered up immediately, asking dead serious, how could she be sure that ID belongs to Hang Xinguang? Her friend was confident, saying the friend recommendation showed he was connected to their circle, so it had to be him. He must have lived like a broke loser before, just because his family was putting him through a tough love training arc. And now the cards are finally on the table. Hearing this, Mengshi dropped her phone, not even hearing the frantic voice on the other end calling her name. She muttered in despair, realizing she'd spent 4 years pushing away the one guy who actually chased her. She's currently losing it, tears streaming down her face, completely unable to accept reality. Mengshi is a total stunner, possessing both the looks and the curves to outshine even the top idols in the entertainment industry. She stands up, eyes burning with a sudden, desperate resolve to win him back. She thinks winning a guy back is easy, especially since he's been obsessed with her for years. One little move and his feelings should spark right back up. She's convinced everything can be reversed, mostly because she's confident she's the hottest woman on the planet. Meanwhile, Hang Xingwang is checking himself out in the mirror, feeling like something about his physique just isn't hitting the mark yet. He flops onto a chair, doom-scrolling on his phone, feeling like a total scrub. He figures if he's got all this money but no health to enjoy it, he needs to hit the gym and start a glow-up immediately. Done thinking, he starts scouting for personal trainers. He plans to build a home gym and hire a one-on-one coach to whip him into shape. After a bit of swiping, he finds the perfect match. Suddenly, the system pops up with a notification. 2 girls have developed regrets over how they treated him, meeting the criteria for a system upgrade. Hang Xingwang is low-key shocked that the system can even level up like that. A screen flashes, officially activating the regret mechanism. Special reminder, when the regret level hits 90%, it converts into wisdom points and 5 physical charm stats. The system calculates Xu Nuano's regret at 50% and Lin Mengxi's at 80%. He's genuinely surprised that Lin Mengxi is feeling that much regret. The system then pulls up his basic stats. Hong Xingwang, age 24, with height, stamina, intelligence, and charm all capped at the standard average human level. The regret mechanism rewards 5 points to distribute into physical fitness, intelligence, or charm. He taps the screen, deciding to dump all 5 points straight into his physical stats. What a coincidence. He was literally just about to start working out, and he's already getting frisbee buffs. As soon as the points hit, he feels his body surging with power as his muscles pop and swell. Hong Xingwang makes a sour face. If the notification had popped up sooner, he wouldn't have wasted money on 20 expensive PT sessions. Lounging on his massive bed, he sighs, deciding that since he already paid, he can't let it go to waste. While scrolling, he realizes his parents' old house is almost done with renovations, so he should definitely buy them some new furniture. He muses that he's like a frog in warm water, slowly easing his folks into a life of luxury. After some thought, he hits buy on a high-end oven. Arriving at the gym, the protagonist walks up to the front desk and shows his phone screen to introduce himself. He confirms the 20 PT sessions he booked on the Tamnon Han app last night. The staff member turns her monitor and asks him to wait while she verifies the details. While waiting, he does a quick scan of the place to size up the vibes. This gym is actually pretty solid, though the price point is definitely a bit steep. The employee finishes checking and confirms she sees his booking history. However, she drops the bomb that he isn't a gym member yet, so he can't actually use the personal training services. He's confused. Aren't membership and personal training the same thing? The employee explains with a smile that memberships are split by month, quarter, or year. Meanwhile, personal training sessions are a separate contract directly between him and the coaches. Since he signed up for 20 sessions, she suggests he at least grab the monthly membership. If he opens a membership now, he'll even get 3 free trial lessons. Hong Xingwang is totally speechless. He already paid over 2,000 yuan for the VIP hourly sessions last night, and it didn't even come with a basic membership card. These types of gyms really know how to milk every penny out of people. The employee asks if he's made up his mind yet. He replies instantly, "Yeah, I'm done." When asked which membership card he wants, he tells her he wants to cancel the entire PT package instead. The employee's eyes go wide with shock and she freezes up. He clarifies that 20 sessions of personal training cost him 80,000 yuan. If he owned this gym, he'd definitely be throwing in the membership card for free as a baseline. Our boy is done playing nice. He just wants his refund processed ASAP so he can dip. The receptionist hits him with the classic read the fine print card, claiming it's gym policy. She says he needs the big boss's approval for a refund, so our boy demands to speak to the manager right now. Seeing his Chad energy, she reluctantly calls the owner, while he stands at the counter thinking, if dropping $1 billion is worth it, he won't blink, but if it's a waste of a single cent, he's out. The system chimes in, telling him his money-saving logic shouldn't be this stingy. But since he's standing his ground against injustice, the system actually drops a 1-coin reward. He's skeptical, like, bro, really? Only 1 coin? Suddenly, a red-haired dude strolls up to him and the receptionist. The guy furrows his brow and calls our boy by his full name. It's Wang Tairian. He's actually the owner of this whole gym. Wang Tairian tells the receptionist to scram and handle other stuff while he deals with the situation personally. She bows out obediently, and we get the scoop on this new character. Wang Tairian is 27, used to be the class president when our boy was in high school, and is basically a rich kid from a wealthy local family. After graduation, he spent his time simping for an underclassman and acting like a total F-boy. He smirks and asks if our boy is the one who signed up for those 20 private PT sessions. Things just got interesting. Our boy straight up says he wants to cancel, and Wang Tairian snaps back. What, feeling the pinch on your wallet already? Our boy asks if he's really going to be that guy and refuse the refund. Wang Tarian flexes that 80,000 yuan is pocket change to him and claims he's just trying to catch up with an old acquaintance. Then he drops the bomb. Gao Yuan is working here too. He yells for her to come out, then asks our boy if it's been a while since they last hung out. Apparently, she was talking about him just a few days ago. Our boy stays silent, keeping his poker face strong. A girl in a skin-tight workout fit walks out, sweet-talking Wang Tarian and asking what's up. She catches sight of our boy and does a double take. Ding! The system notifies him that Gao Yuan has been added to the regret farming target list. The system pulls up her bio and stats right in front of him. The biggest red flag? Her current regret level is sitting at a big fat 0. Our boy is low-key hyped to have her data, but he's wondering if he really needs to make her feel regret to win this game. He ponders for a sec, realizing he was a total clown for thinking this green tea snake was a goddess back in the day. Flashback to their high school era. Gao Yuan was acting shy, telling our boy not to let other girls confess to him because it would distract from his studies. Of course, a Chad like him would be popular, but she claims she only said it because she saw the other girl lose a dare. Back then, he was blushing and scratching his head, promising she was the only one on his mind. He even whispered in her ear that she was his only crush. She grabbed his hand, acting all emotional, saying she had so much pressure and he was the only one who listened to her vent. She played him like a fiddle, and even tried to finesse him into doing her homework. He thought she was into him, but in reality, he was just a backup plan in her harem. Whenever he gave her gifts, she'd take them but tell him to keep it on the down low so others wouldn't get the wrong idea. But then he caught her saying that same exact line to another guy named Jia Qiang, not once but multiple times. She literally had a script for every guy she drained gifts from. Back to the present, our boy narrows his eyes. He knows Gao Yuan has a massive background, so throwing money at her might backfire. He looks at her new man, Wang Tarian, and starts sizing up the competition. The guy's got an 8-pack, is built like a tank, and is a total social climber. Word on the street is Gao Yuan has been thirsty for him for a long time. They're a match made in gym rat heaven. If she's a wealthy heiress but chooses to work as a trainer here, it's definitely for him, so our boy knows he's got to outshine this clown. He smirks to himself. Time to flip the script, break her perception, and then slap her with that system-tier wealth. She's just a green tea snake after all. Gao Yuan steps up and asks if he's running into some trouble. He's still deep in thought, realizing he needs to act a bit weak and pathetic to shatter her ego and get inside her head. He speaks up, saying he already paid for those 20 sessions but thinks forcing him to buy a membership on top of that is absolute trash-tier logic.